It's a
Great
sandbox.
wide
It's a
shots.
soapbox. It's FanBox.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of After Andor. I am Xanatos1138, also known as David. I am on mostly TikTok and a lot of it's FanBox projects. You can catch me on the TARDIS Talk podcast as well as a few others. I am joined by my friends here and we might get a couple others as we go along. Guys, starting with Chase, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi there. Yeah, I'm Chase. You could find me mostly on like TikTok at Forward Into the Black. That's where I primarily talk about things like Star Wars, science fiction, video game stuff. But yeah, there's so much to talk about tonight.
There's so much.
There is. And hi, everyone. I am Johnny, also known as Marvelous Johnny. Y'all can find me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, all the aboves. Just make sure you put 2 L's in Marvelous, though, because I'm Canadian.
just like the U in places that...
Or just, we change the R and the E placements, usually, in things like center.
Oh, that's right. Well, I think this was the heaviest... or the most, it's like the best Star Wars I've ever seen, and that might be recency bias, but like it was so heavy, it was so good, like consistently. I was taking notes and eventually I just stopped because I didn't realize I had stopped. I was paying that much attention. And like I have it all scribbled here too, but what did you guys think overall?
I personally this is definitely one of the best Star Wars things out there. Mm-hmm. Personally, for me, I like to go back to Andor itself. I prefer the Narkina 5 episodes, just because that, for me, really just hit really hard compared to this. Not to put this episode down, it's still like a 10 out of 10. Both can coexist as a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, this to me, like... I've been joking that like, oh, like Andor is like, how do you do movie rankings now that Andor exists? Like, do we include Andor now? Like, because it's that good. And I feel like this arc especially solidified that for me, because everything that like we've been talking about over the past like 2 weeks with Andor has like culminated into this. And there's so many just influences, both fictional and historical, and just the way that they're able to have weight to their storytelling is unheard of in Star Wars. Like, I know that we have like emotional moments, like we have, like Luke and Vader on the second Death Star, beautiful moment. Kanan and Jarrus on the fuel pods, beautiful and heartbreaking moment. Mm-hmm. But there's something about what they've done with Andor that is just next level, is the only way I can put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, genuinely, like, because, I don't know, like, I know Chase loves the starfighters and everything, but for me, I fell in love with Star Wars because of the Jedi and the lightsabers. So, for one of my favorite projects now ever in Star Wars, I mean, it has been since Andor Season 1 came out, but the fact that we have a show with little to no relation back to the Jedi, because we finally just got our first reference to pretty much the greater Force itself with the Force Healer in this arc, but to have none of that and to just to get me as emotional as it has, absolute triumph in my opinion.
Yeah, my favorite aspects of Star Wars usually involve the Jedi and the Force and good versus evil, Jedi versus Sith. And this show has reminded me, like, the era of Star Wars that I love the most is Rebels versus the Empire, like the OG era of Star Wars, when there's little to no Jedi. They're all extinct. It's like, it's mind-blowing, because, like, there's always good aspects to Star Wars. This just hits home the most. And you see...
Our friend Tate is in chat.
Hi, Tate.
Hi, Tate.
Sorry, we're not talking about Dead by Daylight or Five Nights at Freddy. We're talking about Woke Door.
Or as Tate calls it, and Snore.
Oh my god.
He does like the show, though. Let's just have that on record. Nobody go and hate on
It's
this.
okay. It's okay, Tate. We'll have a Twin Peaks podcast at some
And-
point.
Oh, Lord.
I can easily hop around because I have images and I have thoughts, but Johnny, you have an outline. Do you want to take us away?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, let's start off with that first episode where Wilmon comes back. I don't know about you guys, but like Wilmon's probably my second favorite character in this series.
So that part was a little confusing because he comes back. It looks like, okay, he's been established. He's like fully on like with Saw kinda, and I don't like what is huffing the gas in the last arc signify then if you just kind of
That he is just a wild ass boy now.
yeah. It's
Way more than before.
port in every storm too with another girlfriend.
Another white girl. I feel represented and seen.
Wilmon keeps winning in his life.
Wilmon has that riz, okay?
Here's what I love about Wilmon is, like, from season 1, we've seen that he wants to be more involved, and I think that he's intentionally or unintentionally been pushed aside by Cassian, Bix, and Brasso, like the Ferrex gang. And we saw it a little bit on Mina Rao, but I do think that once he's with Saw and we have that beautiful and magical moment with the Rhydonium, and now it's a year later, like the way his character has kind of had this like ascent into the rebellion, he's standing up on his own, and like we'll get to his role later on, but like I do love that I feel like that everyone on Ferrex was typically talking at him, but now Wilmon is talking with and to Cassian and Bix. Mm-hmm. Like he is now on the same level. He's not just a kid. He's not just the guy who's like dad died, like on Ferrex. Like he's so much more than that now. And I think Saw is a big part of that. And I like seeing his growth as a character.
I mean, I personally see him huffing those fumes as like his spark of rebellion inside of himself, you know? Mm-hmm. Like that was genuinely the fuel that caught flame for him to be part of the greater cause now, because as you know, whether he is with the rebels on Yavin or with Saw, or who knows, because like we've seen over the years that like Saw's band of rebels isn't quite like the rebels we get in the OG trilogy.
Yeah. Saw taking the fuel metaphor and making it literal, basically. I mean, he's the fuel of the rebellion, you know.
He's what they use to move things forward, or in their case, sometimes just blow shit up.
Sometimes the only way to make something move forward is to blow it up. I think we have. Hi,
hello.
Real quick, JJ, introduce yourself. Tell us what you thought of the arc.
Oh, that was fast. Hi.
Sorry.
We haven't talked about the juicy stuff yet. I've been holding us off.
Lady Dragon JJ on Twitter and TikTok. Those are the two platforms I use the most, where I tweet and post a lot of nonsense, but I also come up with some nice things. I like to talk about Star Wars and A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and anything nerdy. And my favorite arc, well, there's no such thing as favorite arc in Andor because all of them are very devastating. But I would say that I really enjoyed the culmination of everything that's happened in the episode 9 with Mon Mothma's great speech in the Senate. That was a very intense episode. Her whole escape, my heart was pounding. So if I have to pick anything, it would be that.
Yes. No, awesome. We'll definitely have to tackle that in a bit. We're still on the first episode of Arc 3.
Gotcha.
Very much.
Wilmon.
Yes, we've been talking about Wilmon. JJ, do you have any thoughts on Wilmon exactly, besides the fact that
he
has a thing
he's still alive?
He's still alive!
I'm actually really surprised that I thought when him and Cassian said goodbye on Ghorman that was like goodbye to the audience as well. So
Same.
Surprised to see him injured but alive.
I genuinely thought we were just gonna get Wilmon saying bye, and then we would never see from him. We would never hear from him. We wouldn't know his fate at all. But
He is on Yavin. He's getting treatment. So yeah, he's still got an episode to go, I guess.
he's still got 3 episodes left, which is very scary because he can still die in those 3 episodes.
I've been ready since Andor started for all of these characters to, except for Cassian, Saga. You know, your Rogue One.
Anyone from
Everybody is on
Rogue
the
One.
top block.
Pretty much. So Cassian is safe.
Oh Lord, we're all honestly like if let's say we get Wilmon's death.
Mm-hmm.
I know we were talking a lot about this, JJ, in our own private chats, but like, what do you think would be like an appropriate send off for Wilmon, honestly? And same for the rest of you guys.
I mean, I would like for them to address his relationship and his dynamic with Saw Gerrera. He's joined seemingly his crew. So, and Cassian was sort of like going back and forth, like, where have you been? What have you been up to? And he's been very hesitant to say what he was doing. So I have a feeling that's being cooked slowly and that's going to come into play in the next 3 episodes. So I'm going to assume it's going to be Blaze of Glory, trust Tony Gilroy, our Lord and Savior, that it's got to be in Blaze of Glory.
Yeah, I think that, and here's, I know that I don't want to jump around too much, but the way like Bix's departure was handled, I think that there is a lot of respect being given to these characters, and I think a character like Wilmon is not going to get like the Syril treatment. I think he will go out. If Will doesn't make it out, and I think there's a chance that he will. I think when we understand how big the rebellion is, like there is a chance for some of these characters. If we lose Will, I believe it will be on Will's terms. Like Will be the one that decides it's his time to go. Whether that's, he's going to stay behind like he did on Ghorman, maybe he needs to stay behind at some point before the Rings of Kafrene, and there's another huge event, and it's like they're planting, Will loves his bombs. So like maybe he's planting a bomb and a bomb won't go off. It's, if you remember the great movie of the 2000s, but retrospectively terrible movie, Armageddon.
That film is a masterpiece. Whoever speaks ill on that movie made that tongue rot off and fall off.
I don't want to detract. My favorite thing is Ben Affleck's commentary, the behind the scenes commentary. Is like I know
exactly which one you're talking about.
Why would you train miners to go to space? Why don't you train astronauts out of mine? Shut up, Ben.
Do not unravel this paper thin plot of this magnificent
Amazing
masterpiece.
Thanks, Steven Tyler, for changing everything. But no, I think like a situation where like I have to stay behind to make sure that this goes through, and it will cost me my life. That's how I think he should go out. It should be on his terms.
On his terms.
It's going to be an explosion, definitely. And it's going to be something like he's talking to Andor, and it's the saying is going to be reversed, where he says Ferrix and Andor says stone and sky, and then explosion.
Oh.
Probably.
Or
because they keep doing that in the episodes.
Yeah, they've done it like twice, I think, within like a short span. So it's
we're gonna get like a final shot of like an explosion, and then we're just gonna see like a rock just fly into the air or something now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, it will be. I agree with you, Chase. It's gonna be on his terms, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be some sort of blaze of glory and explosion, something in that nature. So hopefully, something involving Saw and his team. I want to see that dynamic.
He's gonna ignite the Rhydonium for himself.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that's man. I'm just thinking about it now. I'm just getting sad thinking about poor Wilmon.
I better get out of the way. So Hela's going to join us. She has not come to terms with that loss yet. So
okay, well then we can circle back on it then.
He lives in Sahela's mind. So just so you know.
I mean, he's living in my mind too. What is the actor's name again? Can someone remind me?
I won't butcher it.
I'm bad with actors' names in general.
Me too.
I'm bad with actor and character names. I'm like, I know who it is. I don't know how to tell you who it is.
Even people in real life, I'm a face person. Like I can recognize everybody I've met over the past however many years. Your name, forget about it.
Fair enough. Okay, well, I'll save that for when Sue comes back then.
There you go.
Okay. So besides the Wilmon stuff or the Wilmon revelation in episode 1, Force healers. because Leza, like we know Tony is very hesitant on pulling in like the Jedi stuff because like we were talking to Tate earlier and he was the one who told me that like Tony Gilroy is one of the few writers who like heavily references back to the Star Wars story group specifically to make sure that the things that they have in place are correct and lines up with lore. So to have him pull in Force healers, did anyone else look at this and just like, yes, Rise of Skywalker stuff?
I still think it's a lot like when they had Chirrut, Imwe, and Baze, just a sprinkle.
Oh yeah,
That's exactly what I was gonna say, David.
I think you hit the nail on the head because
100%.
This to me, and I don't know if it's just from when I grew up. Like Force healing is not a new thing, like at all. It's like. Say what you will about the Rise of Skywalker, like the Force healing did not bother me at all. Like it's just like
least problematic element of that.
And it's like, guys, did you like read a book? Did you play a video game? Like,
I was gonna say, for me, it's always video games where it's just like, okay, cool, we're gonna use a bit of our Force meter here to heal ourselves.
The same people who want Darth Revan complained about the Force healing in Rise of Skywalker. And I'm like, he's a Force healer. What are you?
I was gonna say Star Killer, same vibe.
Pick a struggle, nerds. What are we doing?
and so like what I did love about the Force. The Force healer was fine. Haley and I had the same immediate thought where we're like, is that the original Mon Mothma?
Wait,
and then I'm like, no, she's fucking 100.
I was gonna say, but I see where you're going with that. Like I could,
I was like, oh, this would be a beautiful nod. No, she's a fucking
hilarious
skeleton at this point. No offense, but like, what I did love is, and it's the same thing like Dave said with Rogue One, is that the skepticism of the Force was so good because and this is the thing that like we will get into it with Ghorman, we'll get into it with so many things. It's like the parallels of real life, and it's like, oh, like how do people forget about the Jedi and the Force? It's like kids don't know what life was like before the internet. Like we forgot a life before the internet. We forgot about a life outside.
Let's not forget, kids hold phones like this now when you ask them.
This is the phone, not this.
This is them with the phone, no longer this.
So like, it's 100% possible. Like when people don't realize what happens politically, no matter where you are in the world, or just like culturally, like things shift and change so rapidly that something like this is totally possible. Hello.
Sue!
Hi.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Sorry to jump in.
Oh, you're fine.
No, you're all good.
No, that was me. I literally jumped in. What's your name? What do you do?
I didn't mean to rush you, JJ.
Oh, no,
But
I'm just prepping Sue for what's coming. The attack. I'm just kidding.
Oh boy.
this is like my third time doing this.
No, I'm teasing. I'm just teasing.
It's been a while since I've done one of these with like a lot of people that like live. So this is gonna be fun.
Hopefully Kari can pop up later.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Before we move on regarding the Force healers, you guys brought up the Rise of Skywalker. Grogu healed Greef.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yes.
Oh yeah,
In The Mandalorian. So it's a thing. And also Star Killer Darth Revan. Like if we're gonna be like cherry picking lore, like stick with it. Like
Kyle Katarn and Corran Horn have healed people with the Force. Like
it's not a new thing.
It's not new.
Wait, are people saying it's new in Andor? I'm sorry.
Not.
Oh, okay.
I have
No one
seen
brought
people.
it up yet.
I have seen some curmudgeon-y folk is the best way I'll put it. Be like, we don't like Force healing, and I'm like. It got brought up right before you came in about like the Rise of Skywalker having the Force heal with Rey, and then having this Force healer on Yavin. I don't believe she had a name. I think she's just the healer.
They don't name drop her anywhere. Not Bix, not Cassian.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you guys already know how much I loathe the Rise of Skywalker. Rey Force healing Kylo Ren is the least of that film's issues. I think it adds a really interesting aspect to the Force itself, and it mystifies it in a way. And like, I am more curious to why it chooses certain people to lend that gift to, because not everybody can Force heal. Certain individuals can, and again, you're supposed to like wonder why. And I think lack of that answer is what makes it more interesting. It's what makes it mystical and mythical and like mysterious in a lot of way. To me, I think it's a cool aspect, but when it's done sparingly, once it becomes a plot cleaner and a plot clutch for plot armor, that's when we should be having this discussion. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's not like Cassian is dying and then all of a sudden he needs a plot armor from a force healer. It's an injury that's bothering him, that's going to hinder him. Dude, that's kind of what I mean, but it plays into the larger theme of connections.
I'm going to say you're wrong. It is plot armor, and the plot armor is to get Diego Luna's shirt off.
Not where I thought that point was going.
I didn't know that you were going that way, but I appreciate that you did.
How else do we do this? Oh, well, he has an injury on his shoulder that can't be seen. Just take your shirt off,
Vic's
Diego.
already tried, right?
Exactly.
She did sense it from across the yard.
True.
Which I really did like that aspect though. Like she stopped what she was doing, she went over and she wanted him to take off his shirt. No, I don't.
Although he doesn't though. He doesn't with the force healer, but he. I mean, I guess before and after.
It was an. I'm going to say this: that the force healer was an unexpected but welcome scene.
Yes.
Like,
Agreed.
had it not happened at all, like it's not something I would have like missed. Like oh yeah, like Andor is very much not involved with the Force, not involved with the Jedi, etc., etc. But having a Force healer on Yavin with the rebellion, who is if you look at someone like Bail Organa, has ties to the Jedi, has ties to the Force. There are people who are still devoted to the Force in the rebellion. It makes sense that a character like that would be on Yavin in these religious temples. And I think it's a really interesting moment that was like, again, a pleasant surprise.
But also like Cassian's aversion to it. He's utterly rejecting this notion of like mystical healing and all that, which I find very interesting. Like he's a skeptical character. He's been throughout both seasons. So it's like going through all these motions and finally like doing what he did with like letting himself be healed, and it worked. Like he's sort of breaking down his own barriers of that harshness and skepticism and embracing everything that the galaxy has to offer. I appreciate that skepticism because again, it's an audience insert for us to question what's actually happening.
It was influenced by Marva too.
That is very true.
I don't remember like anything specific like that in the first season. It's just something that like, oh, that's just part of her character we never saw, but Cassian did growing up with her.
And she was a very like opinionated person as well. And I mean, Cassian kind of
pragmatic, very pragmatic point of view, and that definitely transferred onto Cassian. Being that he was raised by her.
I did overall like the force healing like scene and like the context that it added to his character. And I also like the force healing. I know that used sparingly and whatever, but the lady does kind of say it doesn't always work. And I like that idea of it working for specific people, because she's like, I don't always get this clarity. And she's like, they always come, like the injured always come. And she's like, I always try, but it doesn't always like, and she's like, and sometimes it works. Like it's not a thing that she's always able to do, which I like. And I like that there's like different, like that it's showing, they could have just brought in a Jedi, right, to do it. Like they would have been able to.
Quinlan. I'm joking. Right, like we got Quinlan on May 4th.
But I like that it was like something unexpected, and it was just like this random person who is force sensitive, and also Bix being force sensitive. That was so.
Okay, I did not catch that.
It was like the segue.
I was kind of confused, and I was like, is she meant to be, or is it like?
I'm sorry. Which part? I think I missed this. Like, what are we talking specifically?
So after that whole force healing conversation, when the two of them then go back to their home and then they're talking, she's like, I've felt it before. I've had like dreams that show him being a messenger, and she's like, I've had that feeling before.
Like premonitions.
Yeah. So I was like, is she
that's right.
Right.
I didn't connect that to the force. That's interesting.
How did I?
I like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking, like, that's how I interpreted it anyways, but it could be maybe interpreted in other ways. But I thought that because she was just speaking about the force healer and being like, I understand what she's saying because I felt it too, that's sort of what made me think, like, maybe she is a little force sensitive. Or
no, you're right. We have
Yeah.
we have a biggest precedent for that. Anakin Skywalker.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know
Literally
which way to point because
No,
this
you're
is
right.
like
I didn't
flip.
actually because I mean he's been having premonitions about the future death of his
Yes.
wife, like in the most famous Star Wars film of all time. So Bix
Yes.
having similar ones regarding Cassian, but in like an opposite way, where she's not trying
Yeah.
to save him, but let him go.
Yeah,
That is
that's
healthy
actually
attachment.
brilliant. That's actually brilliant that it's like the similarities, but then it being like the opposite. Oh,
Yeah, because the thing
Pizza
that I
Bala.
yeah, the thing that I took away from the whole like Cassian as a messenger is it's very much a callback to Rogue One, where when he's going to shoot Galen and Chirrut says Chirrut, you know, it says like the Force moves darkly around people who are about to kill, and he senses that with Cassian.
yeah.
And I think that that the Force healer saying like he's a messenger, like no, he's not a Jedi. He's not going to move things with his mind. He's not going to like he's not going to like Jedi mind trick you. But like you know, he's a like a conduit almost for the Force, where it's just like those who do have the Force can feel his presence strongly.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because it's something that like we have been getting more and more of. Like it's not canon, but like what we got in The Village Bride and Visions of like different interpretations of the Force and how the Force can be so many things to so many people. Like that planet, the Force is Majina, or Mother Nature is what it is. And so these little bits of like, it's not a freaking video game experience bar where you have enough Force
Powering
points
up.
to finally disintegrate people like Starkiller. Like it's just like, no, it's so many things, it's so many facets and so many different people's lives, and I really enjoyed the care that was used in that scene.
It reminds me of High Republic with how they describe how everyone sees the Force differently, and even Acolyte, where you know the witches view it as, was it the thread, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
Yep,
that's right.
exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like seeing like the different ways that people outside of the Jedi see the Force and actually like feel it and interact with it, and also the fact that like not everybody uses the Force the same way, and not everybody has the same like Force sensitivity. And so like Bix having like just the premonitions and the dreams and like that feeling, and her not even really being able to like put it together until the Force healer kind of put those words together for her to like make sense of it. I really like that.
Not to tie things into, because that's
It was
my,
really,
my bread
really
and
good
butter.
way of like bringing.
Oh, sorry. You're pausing and like going. I'm so lost.
Oh, sorry. No, no. It's okay. Go ahead.
Is
Go
it
ahead.
just me? I was gonna say I'm not trying to like tie back into like A Song of Ice and Fire and all that stuff, but I read it a lot, and one of the things that's the best part of that series is the fact that the magic of that world, let's say Force, is never explained in a way that like this is what happens when this person does this and these are the rules. Like magical Force rules should be broken and interpreted in a different way. It makes the story way, way, way more interesting. And once you define it as a thing, which is why I think midichlorians were a bad idea to begin with. And I think the Star Wars universe is slowly stepping away from that, because as a friend of ours, like they put it greatly, like you don't want to address crocodile under the bed. Otherwise you kind of like release that tension and you no longer have the mystery. So you're going to fall into these plot traps and like, and all these different things, and keeping the Force. And I love that you brought up Visions in that episode, the Force being the mother, the nature itself. I think it's such a beautiful homage that Force is literally any sort of energy field that somebody can use for whatever reason, and we don't know what that reason is. It just happens. So I love that.
There's a line in Rogue One, and all of this is reminding me when Chirrut is talking to Andor and says, "I sense you carry that cage wherever you go." I'm wondering if they're going to tie it in so much that Cassian starts to regress back because Bix left. He's going to be resentful. He's going to deny. He's going to run away from his destiny, so to speak. So that in Rogue One, his purpose is essentially caged until near the end of the movie.
Interesting.
I don't know if they're going to go that far, but that's just like
I
rattling in my
would
head.
like something like that.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
All right.
think-
Sorry, go first, Sue.
Oh, I was just gonna say like one last thing, and because JJ mentioned A Song of Ice and Fire, and I was thinking of The Wheel of Time, where there's like certain characters that are like important to like the fabric of the world, or the way that, you know, the time is or the wheel is spinning in the Wheel of Time. So like that whole scene with Cassian as well was reminding me of that in a little bit, in the sense that he's important to the Force in some way, because he is, you know, the reason that you know, obviously the Death Star gets blown up, because without him, they wouldn't have gotten the plans and
The
all of
far as,
that.
as far as they did. Yeah.
And so it's like the Force, I don't know if that's necessarily how the Force works, but like this idea of like the Force sort of like pinpoints people who are like important, and sort of like congregates, like brings together, you know,
Oh, I like that.
like people who can
On-
help them, or people who can sense them, people who can like, you know, move them forward to get to where they need to be.
But even
on
when
both
when
sides.
yeah, but even like when I was it the Force healer when she says he's the messenger. What is the final like line from Cassian in Rogue One? Is anybody out there listening?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Which it definitely foreshadows
Yes.
that. Is anybody listening? Yeah.
Man, Rogue One's gonna suck to watch again.
Rogue One's gonna suck so bad.
Please.
I'm waiting
I'm gonna
for
watch-
this season to be done first, and then I'll
Same,
go back and watch it.
same.
Ah, yes. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's a great
episode 7 was
poster.
called Messenger. What was episode 2 called again, David?
It was.
Who
hold
are
on, I
you?
got it
Who
for
are you?
Who are you?
That was hilarious.
Oh,
by
right.
the way.
It's Who Are You?
I'm gonna say this. I have like a 1% batting average with my Star Wars predictions.
That's so good.
I predicted this happening like before season 2 aired. I was like, Syril Karn and Cassian are gonna meet it, and Cyril's gonna be like, "You ruined my life," blah blah blah, and Cassian's gonna be like,
He's gonna
"I'm
Thanos
sorry,
him.
have we met?"
You took
going
everything
to- he
from me.
straight up
I don't
hit
even
him.
know who you are.
With the Thanos from Endgame, just going, I don't even know
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah, that look
Like,
right there.
No, not even that look. That's just the look of like, what have I done?
Yeah.
I don't
After
know.
Cassian said,
I don't know
like,
what your
who?
outline looks like. I don't know if we want to jump to Cyril Karn, but like
I
I
mean,
have a lot to say about Cyril and Dedra.
Me
we're
too.
done with episode 7, I think. So let's hop into episode 8 pretty much, which in my opinion is the heaviest of all 3 of these episodes.
Heaviest of all Star Wars.
I was
would
gonna
say.
say,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just the heaviest we've ever seen. The build up to it too. Like, I thought that we were gonna see the Ghorman massacre episode 1, and then they were gonna do something else. And then like I was sitting there the entirety of like episode 7, just like waiting for like shit to go down. Sorry, are we allowed to swear?
Same.
Yeah,
It was
Can we curse on
haunting.
this stream?
Like
30
Yeah.
minutes in, you're allowed to swear now.
Okay.
That's
Sorry.
fucking
It's just like
hilarious.
for it to go down. And then the episode ends, and I'm like, oh no. Or like we kept getting closer. I was like, the build up was just killing me.
There is something about, and I don't want to just put it on Tony Gilroy. Not that he's unbelievably talented and very good at his job, but it's the compositions, it's the production, it's the editing. The thing about Andor from season 1 up until now, when we look at Aldhani, when we look at Narkina, when we look at Rick's Road, and then we look at when we look at Ghorman and then the escape of Mon Mothma, it's not just the tension, it's the tension with the weight at the same time that this show has nailed. Like, honestly, better than like most movies and TV shows
I
in
agree.
general. Like
Yep.
the accelerated heart rate you get when we're looking at like who is going to find out that the rebels are on Aldhani? How is this going to go wrong on Narkina? When is Ghorman reaching its boiling point? You know?
Clea and Lonnie at the wheel. They are looking for the listening device.
Oh my god!
That's why I keep my nails short because I'm a very anxious person. I dug my nails into my palm so hard that I cut myself. Like what? And Krennic is literally 10 feet away from.
Move to
all
the left.
No, that episode had me sweating. I was
There, and there
not
was
okay.
I was like, is there sexual tension in this moment as well? Because she's looking at him like crazy.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. When I was watching that episode, I was like, "Can I be looked at like that, please?"
It's
knew
not.
I would like that level of intensity. And
No. Put respect on my girl Clea. She would not let Lonnie near her in any such a way.
know.
She has maybe the most self-respect of any character in Star
But
Wars.
hey, you're not. Hey, Lonnie is risking literally daily. Let's put respect on that
Also
on
true.
his
Lonnie
name.
also has a wife and kid
None
at
of the
home.
shit that Luthen was able to accomplish was without Lonnie.
Mon Mothma would have gotten caught by the ISB if it wasn't for Lonnie.
For Lonnie. But let's put respect on that little ginger. That's ginger.
That makes so much sense now. I didn't put that together.
But didn't you hear in a control room when one of the Imperials is like they killed Young or is it Young's agents? That's his agent. Who warned Luthen that there is an ISB agent in Bail Organa's team.
Mm-hmm. This is why I needed to do a rewatch before we did this.
No, but
it was subtle. It was subtle because it took me a
lot of information like throughout the episodes. Like I was just literally writing down names and all that stuff. I mean, I remember the important stuff, but I'm like writing everything down as well.
I'm about to turn into Charlie Day in It's Always Sunny, just looking for Pepe Sylvia with like the freaking whiteboard behind me.
Seriously, and the thing is, like, there's so many moving pieces, and we've already come off of like a really emotional arc that is still continuing. Like, you're still getting like the aftermath of it, and like, I love that they didn't like spell everything out for us still, because they still trust the audience to like be able to piece it together and be able. And even if like I didn't, while I was watching, I didn't piece it together that it was Lonnie. Like, obviously, it's like, oh yeah, like Luthen's people. He has people everywhere. I have friends everywhere, right?
I have friends everywhere.
It didn't click to me that it was Lonnie specifically while I was watching it, and then afterwards, as I was like kind of thinking it through, and I think I saw a tweet. I was like, "Oh yeah, Lonnie! Like, who else is it going to be, right?" Like, but that's the beauty.
God, now I'm scared for Lonnie. After
I am scared for Lonnie since season 1, bro.
He's a goner, and so is Luthen, and I think that's how they're going to get to Luthen. I'm sorry, because like I think this is like the final Star where they're finally going to be like, okay, we have a rat in like there is a rat.
Imperials are going to piece together like what was happening with Mon's speech and how they was able to actually go on with the locked control room, with agents being killed, the device being removed. They're going to track it down to our poor little Lonnie, and he's kaput, which means Luthen is gone. But
and then that's
Luthen being gone, it doesn't really matter anymore because rebellion is happening.
I mean, it was going to happen anyways. I thought it was going to happen this arc, honestly, but I guess
my sexy daddy is gone. No,
this arc I was too focused on the Ghorman massacre and then Mon's eventual run. So but. Back to episode 8. Let's get to the heavy shit. No, this is good.
There's you guys to talk about.
You guys are giving me like a hell of a revelation.
Have you guys seen Chernobyl?
Yes. Oh my god.
I need to. It's
on
my list. I know.
It's hard to watch.
Now I know how a nuclear reactor works.
Jail.
I don't need you.
Jail. Is it more stressful than episode 8?
In a different way. In a very different way.
Because it actually happened and the repercussions of that.
There's episode 4 of Chernobyl is a very uncomfortable thing to watch. And it's all based in reality what I believe the production team of Chernobyl is on Andor season 2.
I think so.
That makes sense.
Yes, the production team of Chernobyl. I think it. Please Google this at home. I don't want to sound like an idiot.
No, I remember something like that.
They're the people who worked on Chernobyl's like narrative structure are working on Andor season 2.
That makes sense.
That makes
that makes a lot of sense.
And it's one of those things like we can get into it with the Ghorman massacre because there's so much both present day and historical context with the Ghorman massacre. Like from the different stages of it happening, like it's just like
the build up.
Oh, it was just it's one of those things like. Again, similar to Chernobyl, it's so hard to watch, but you're so compelled by it. And it's not like the train wreck thing. It's just that I have to know how this happened. Like, I'm so invested in it. And it's like, I don't want to watch this because it's just going to bring pain and sadness and misery, but I need to know what happens.
Very quickly.
The Ghorman massacre. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have actors from Chernobyl in Andor.
Yeah,
including the guy who plays Lonnie.
That's right, Lonnie is in Chernobyl.
Lonnie
right.
and the pre-Moore chief No, I think the
what's his
Primor
name?
security guy. He's the naked miner in Chernobyl.
Oh
I
shit!
forget his
Yeah,
name.
he is.
Right, he
Yeah,
is.
the
You're
one
right.
of the Primor guy. The
one who works with
he works with
Syril.
Syril, and he's
Yeah,
like
the
he's
big guy
like
that's in
give him a speech,
Godzilla
Captain. Yeah, if you want to
Oh.
The one
see
who
his
talks about like the best way to sharpen a knife is to use it. That guy.
yeah, and he if you want to see his wiener, you can go watch Chernobyl.
Yeah. Can't confirm.
The only parts in Chernobyl I couldn't watch is all of the animal
Yeah,
stuff.
episode 4. Yeah,
I could not
it's
watch
rough.
that.
It's
I
rough.
had to rewind that, fast forward it.
Yeah,
I can
it's
handle a lot of things. I don't know. Animal killing has always been such a weird spot for me. I don't know why.
No, that's fair. That is more than fair.
James Gunn and Guardians 3, mother effer.
Yeah, that was tough.
But episode 8, season 2 of Andor.
Yeah, I was
want to
gonna
hop
say.
right into the Ghorman.
I think
Okay.
yeah, there's so much to cover with Ghorman. Let's just rip.
Let's
the
just jump
Band-Aid
right
off.
into it. Just straight up unprovoked genocide, which
Exactly what Mon
they've
said.
been hinting at since the beginning.
Since season 1,
season 2
essentially.
and season 1, yeah.
And we
mean,
knew how
yeah.
it was gonna like go down from like the beginning of this season. Like we knew exactly how it was gonna go down, right?
And
like the
Krennic
plan was
describes the plan, and Dedra is like,
Dedra
yeah,
adds
when
to
he just
it.
rebels doing
And it-
bad things to.
We had the
And it
blueprint.
doesn't make it
from
any
episode
easier.
1. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had the blueprint.
And I mean, like, even without having that blueprint, this is how like fascism and oppression and like occupation works in the real world. So like we already knew how this was gonna go in some shape or form, and it doesn't make it any easier to watch.
Yeah, like this is like going back to like the historical context, like the protests and stuff, the false flags, like is like exactly what Germany did to Poland in like the mid 30s, where they knew that if they went into Poland, it would spark a world war. Germany was not trying to start a world war because they got their butts whooped in the last one. and so they made all these false flags with Poland, and it didn't work out in Germany's favor. In the end, the war was still started. But like this is the exact same setup, and you have that context, and then you have obviously the Gore are both the French resistance of World War II as well as the French Revolution.
Les Mis was all over.
Oh my god!
So
like
much
when the guy starts singing after the
singing.
chanting, I was like it's just like, can you hear the people sing?
Can you hear the people? Yeah.
And I was like, this is too much. Please stop.
I thought that tune sounded familiar,
Yeah,
like the way he sang it.
It was Les Mis all over that
there's-
scene. Part of it.
and I'm gonna say this because like my family's quote claim to fame involves the Kent State shooting. My uncle went to Kent State and was a photographer, and there is a very famous photograph, not the famous photograph. There's
okay.
another. He's not in that one. So how it's crazy, and when watching this, like that's all I could think of was my uncle. Is he was a photographer, and he broke into he'd have to tell me, but he broke into one of the buildings, one of the faculty buildings, and he climbed like the fire escape and got on the roof. And there is a photograph where you can see the corner of the building and my uncle on the corner of the roof, and he had the FBI at his house for years because they thought he was a student with a rifle that was trying to shoot the police. And so when you have like he had a camera, that's what he was doing. He was trying to capture photos. He showed me the negatives he has, and he's like there's also like photographs he says he never wants anyone to see from Kent State. And like watching this and watching like the riot control coming in and how close the gunshots were, or the blaster shots in this case, to the protesters with the riot gear, and then talking to I'm sorry I'm jumping around the place, but talking to the Crazy Stupid podcast was every time something happens with the Empire, it's Grand Moff something, it's Admiral someone, it's Emperor who's a what's it. This is no name Sniper number 2 that starts this. that someone that will never, if we get a FACPOV of Andor, maybe like, and that's the crazy thing, is that this is how it starts. Is it starts from agitators like this. This is how Kent State started, and it's crazy. Like talking to the people on Crazy Stupid Podcast, I was like, this has never been done in Star Wars, where you're never going to know the story of the man who pulled the trigger. He just pulled the trigger, and it's like it's crazy to think that the same franchise that gives us "I'll try spinning, that's a good trick," like it gives us this.
They fly now, and they get this.
As well as teddy bears.
You guys know I love my Ewoks.
Do another episode of my disdain of how the Ewoks are presented in a film that is supposed to be about the Vietnam War. That's not this episode, but
fair.
But no, like it's not just Kent State. It's the LA riots. It's Israel and Palestine. It's the French Revolution. It's the French Resistance. It's Poland. It's so many. It's Northern Ireland and the IRA. It's so many things culminating like this. Like you said, Sue, like this is the textbook of fascism. This is the textbook of oppression. Nemec couldn't have said it any better. Oppression is the mask of fear, and this is how it works. And it's like it's how it all played out is just so wild to me that like watching it, I was like, "There's no way this is Star Wars." I love Star Wars. There's no way this is Star Wars.
It's what is it?
The way they were goading them into the plaza was just one of the.
Yeah.
I think. Don't get me wrong. The mass murder of it all. It's very triggering. It's very like it's just you know where it's going, and you know they're being literally herded into.
Legit, they were like cattle in this one.
Like cattle.
And
Exactly.
having the
Fish in a barrel.
stormtroopers menacingly
It's the
close them off at the stairs was terrifying.
It's people in the Warsaw ghettos just being barricaded
That's
closer
literally
and
what
closer and
reminded me
closer
of
and
that.
closer. And it's just like there's
And it's Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, quite literally boarded up. Like
Exactly.
and what do you call that? It's an open air prison where they got them with no way to exit or escape or do anything.
I don't know if you guys have seen the film.
Straight execution.
The pianist and how they show it's such a devastating. I mean, God, it's so good. Like it's. But like how you see in that film, and obviously it's over the span of like almost 3 hours, of how you have families that are like going to restaurants and they're having dinner together, and that the circle gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter as that movie goes along, until the circle is that tiny box that they're in, and then they're just herded into the trains. And that's how the barricades of Ghorman were working. Is it's like. And with the stormtroopers, and the other thing about this
That was
like,
terrifying. The
stormtroopers are scary. The stormtroopers are scary.
Frightening.
Legit.
KSO
Only in
like
Andor
units.
can they be
K2SO was
scary and
That
fucking
was
aim.
horror level. Like,
just
frightening.
the like. There's some stuff that I'm surprised. Like Andor has surprised me in ways, but like there's just like when I can't remember her name and I feel bad, but like when the KX droid throws the woman and you hear her head hit the ground
and cracked.
and it's just like
Ryland's daughter, Rena or something like that. Yeah.
there's someone at
Rena.
Lucasfilm.
Rena was the other one, I think.
Yeah.
But I forget her name.
There's someone at Lucasfilm that is like has gotten the check of like, yeah, we can do really gross deaths now, like because like we got it with Kymir and Yord.
Oh God, that was
A good old
shocking.
snap,
Oh my
crackle, and
God!
pop right
Oh my
there.
God! And now it's just like you hear someone's skull go against concrete. You're like, oh God!
But you know what's so, like? Speaking of accolade, like for a week, everybody's making jokes and cute stickers and memes and hashtags, and all of a sudden they're being Swiss Yord Horde and all that. All of a sudden, these being Swiss cheesed. Jackie and Yord is being like his neck cracked, and you hear it.
It was like in a
shocking.
spinal crack. It was
Oh, that was a straight decapitation. For
that
him.
was
It's like
Shocking.
Jason. No,
Shocking.
this is not okay in Jacksonville.
this isn't the bad
And-
place.
Cyril standing right in the middle of all of it too, just
Yeah.
watching.
I
Can I say
know
something
JJ.
about that?
Yes, because I have a.
Are we
lot.
doing a Cyril or are we still in a Ghorman?
Are we still Ghorman?
Because Cyril
Yeah.
is a
I
topic
mean,
on its own. Because I can
It
go
is,
on
but
all
like
day.
Cyril in Ghorman, like Cyril reacting to Ghorman, I have a lot to say about.
I do. Since we're on the just very briefly on the Cyril thing though, and tying it back to the Ghorman thing, that scene when he walks into that room, and you just see 6
Oh,
KX
yes.
sitting there and unanimously just turn to him. That is some of the most horrific things I've ever seen in Star Wars. It is
One of
And
the-
then one of them is lingers.
Yeah.
Is that Cassian's KSO?
That's what I. That's what I was.
One of them is
thinking.
Cassian's KX droid.
I was waiting for some fucking Alan Tudyk line like, "Hello, take a seat, why don't you?"
It would have
I was
broken
so
some tension because Johnny, you're right. That's the
Going
most
like
frightening moment
he's
ever.
pissing himself or something like that. But
I
no,
pissed
it's all
myself when I
just
saw
the-
that. I was terrified.
I could have used with like the relief of tension in that, but I'm glad they didn't. Like, I'm glad
Oh,
they
yeah, no,
didn't. I'm
I
glad they
would-
didn't
it
until
would have been
much
out of
later,
place,
but-
my
yeah.
uncomfortability. I want the horror that I felt in
Yeah.
my body to stifle me. To say the
We
least.
know, Johnny.
Yeah.
We love you.
It was they've used like comedy and like, you know, moments to like undercut tension a lot in Star Wars, and even in Andor they've done it a few times, but I'm glad in this episode specifically they
Correct.
did not. And obviously it was a choice, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to break that tension and that pace.
No,
that,
not
that's
this
following.
time.
Yeah, not.
There's
in this
other
one.
tension like with like Aldani and stuff where like, yeah, you can break that tension, but with this arc specifically,
It's a no. Yeah,
it's a
I agree.
Yeah, I had mentioned it earlier. I think that with Andor, I think just the care that this show has handled everything from like the prison industrial complex on Narkina,
Martin Narkina, yeah.
yeah, to Rick's Road and how that played out, to Aldani and
Aldani's
to
people.
all the way to I know that I know that they based the Aldani people. I think it was like off of a Nepalese tribe. I can't remember.
shoot, I'm forgetting the name of the tribe.
But yeah, it was
Right.
it was either like a Central Asian tribe, or maybe it was an indigenous American tribe. I can't remember, but it was like they were based off of like a
It was
real.
Like AAPI adjacent.
Yeah,
I think it was Central Asian, but don't quote me on that. But I mean, also like you can also like relate them to a few different
so many things,
indigenous
so many things.
populations with like
and having
exactly.
lines, you know, with the Empire of like, there used to be, it was something like 60,000 people were showing up, and now there's 45, and it's just like you feel the weight again. It's that weight and tension that Andor has like really like nailed so much with everything. Like even that initial Ghorman heist with Vel and Cinta, like it's just like it's uncomfortable. Like you're just like, when is it going to go wrong? How is it going to go wrong?
Yeah.
It goes wrong in the worst possible way. And then like the Ghorman massacre, like it's just took everything up to 11, and like it was like, it's again, it was horrible to watch, but also compelling. And like you don't want to look away, because it feels like almost a disservice to look away. So like,
And you but now that you said that, that's actually perfect for what's happening. Not perfect, but what's happening now. So many people are like, stop reposting or sharing photos of like dead Palestinians and their families and their children. They're very uncomfortable with the images that these people are sharing, and they're begging you to sympathize and empathize and share their story. And how many, I've seen millions of tweets. Can we put a trigger warning? Can we edit this? Can we blur this? Can we do all of these things? Like, no, you should see this. This is
There's-
what's happening.
yeah,
Same
there's-
concept here. Like, you know what's coming with the Ghorman,
Right.
with the Ghor. You know it's coming.
right.
And you're right. It's service and disrespect almost to look away. They're being
Yeah.
massacred. And even at the end, like the girl with blonde hair,
Drina.
Will's girl?
thank you. She's literally begging you, listen to us.
Oh my
Believe
God, her
happening.
broadcast is heartbreaking.
begging you to look.
And Wilmon stays behind to help her with that broadcast, and he tells Cassian, "Tell people what happened here." That's the whole like, and like you were saying, JJ, like we are sitting here comfortably, and yes,
On our
we're scrolling
couch.
through and we're seeing like the horror that's coming out of it, but it's like we need to bear witness because they need us to know what's happening.
Archive it,
Otherwise-
history.
Exactly. Otherwise, like what's happening there, if at the very least we don't witness and remember and try to do something about it, then I'm not going to say it's not for naught, but like at the very least, if it like moves people, if it educates people, then it will have done something. And so like people saying, oh, I don't want to see it. Like, you're just privileged in your own comfort and you don't want discomfort. Well, guess what? They don't get a chance to have that themselves. And like, the least we can do is just bear witness and then use that to build on it with other action items. Sorry,
especially in context right after, hey, they are literally, it's death of truth. So similar to this, like histories are written by winners. You have to bear witness to these people and at least archive their struggle, because the people in power will try to alter it, change it, propagandize it,
and they do that immediately. The Empire does it immediately.
Prior to
Imperial martyrs, like before they've even before the bodies have even had a chance to cool. Exactly, they're already before
they ever
before the Ghorman massacre even happened. They were already.
They had press people talking about the insurgents and like the foreign agitators and all these.
You got evil Furby up there talking about it.
And that's then what was it? There was a line, like one of the when Mon Mothma was going into the Senate before all of this was going down, and when she walks through the security, and we see her pause as she's walking through security with
Senator Orma.
No, it's her and her aide. What's his name?
I can't remember his name. Names. Luthen's. He's one of Luthen's people.
Yeah. But that's before all of that, before the Ghorman massacre actually happens, and we're just hearing overlap of news happening, or was that it?
No. On the intercom, I'm background noises, You're right. There is in the background noises of the news running in the background to what's going on
exactly. No, but I'm mixing up the scenes. It's actually Syril when he's going through the checkpoint in the very beginning of I think episode 7, and then you're hearing them already talking about how there's unrest and there's all of this stuff happening,
terrorist attacks in different
regions.
He's on his morning walk and he sees the reporters.
It's the reporters right
exactly, and they're already doing that. And then as the massacre is about to happen, before the violence, I think either before or as the violence is breaking out, they're already spinning it, being when they're walking into the square, they're this mass demonstration. They're already twisting it. They're not saying oh, they opened the square and so they're marching in to chant. They're oh no, this is this. I forget the wording that was being used, but I think they were saying it was some sort of mass demonstration and basically saying that they forced their way, implying that they forced their way in. And it's that's they're already twisting the facts before anything's even happened.
They salted the ground right before they
exactly.
And they keep using the phrase imperial norms.
Exactly.
Oh my god,
that phrase got me. That phrase got me.
It's they're not they're not complying or conforming to imperial norms, and it's just they're clearly, obviously this is the propaganda team that we see in episode 1 or 2, I can't remember, in the fucking Eagle's Nest. Krennic's Eagle's Nest. Oh my god.
They are essentially
after 1 and 2, I'm Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace had this? What?
I was trying to say they are using the same cameras, the reporters using the same cameras that are the cameras in episode 1 Phantom Menace that are circling around the Senate. So
they were manufacturing consent for that genocide before it took place.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Back to the phrase imperial norms, because that's one thing that you hear a lot about Palestine and just Arabs in general, being oh, they're Islam, Muslims, whatever, are different from Western, they don't follow Western values, blah, blah, blah. The only democracy in the Middle East and the rest of the countries don't follow our, democratic values and all of that sort of stuff to, again, manufacture consent for what is happening to Palestinians, making Arabs out to be, these violent, barbaric population that, and that, and the surrounding countries all being agitators when the opposite is true. And it's just as soon as they said imperial norms, it just grinded my gears, because it's I've been hearing that my entire life, living and growing up in the West, and the fact that the way I dress and everything is not Western or whatever, and I'm I don't really care, I still do it, but at the same time it's this, it's propaganda that has worked for ages, because Arabs aren't the only ones who wear this, Muslims aren't the only ones who wear this. Historically, people have worn
talked about it today,
literally we were talking cultural dress and cultural clothing has been even more covered and more modest than even I wear sometimes, big you know, like dresses and things like that for both men and women, and then they've like twisted it again, the propaganda machine, in order to manufacture consent for what is happening in Palestine and beyond. And yeah, that phrase was very perfectly like placed, and I love that that they're using the words in our own like world in Star Wars, and not just trying to like make up words for the Star.
Sci-fi-ifying it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now that you said that, somebody, I think maybe they were trying to make a joke or something, but when Bail Organa is cursing, like, tear this shit apart.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best Star Wars quotes ever. Somebody quote tweeted saying like, "Oh, I wish they didn't use our world language in Star Wars."
Yeah.
And I'm like the whole show, both seasons, has been very rooted into our reality. The way it's dropping different terminologies, especially now, like you said, Imperial norm, genocide,
undocumented, genocide.
Correct. You have all these different things that we use to describe what's happening in real world. So for me, like, don't use cute little phrases. I don't give a shit about what word shit in like. What's the language?
I don't need to hear poodoo again.
Poodoo, crypt, whatever. Yeah. Somebody made a tweet actually being like, "Oh, if this was like written by, in any other Star Wars show," or what, I think they were making a dig at Filoni, and be like,
please.
Shoot, I forget the phrase now, but they used bantha poodoo instead of the word shit.
I know which tweet you're talking about.
So badly.
Yeah.
But there's
bantha poodoo down or whatever.
There is some stupid part of my brain that would have loved to have heard Bail Organa say, "Rip the bantha poodoo out of them."
I agree.
When you say that, like, I'm already like.
If this was the scene in like the previous arc of like them going to
if this were Skeleton
or whatever,
crew,
then yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Or if the situation was like different and it was like Mon Mothma's like the parties that she was attending or whatever, the Senate parties and whatnot. In that context, yes. But in this context, when they're actually talking about like genocide and massacre.
Yeah, because like the difference is this is Bail Organa saying this, when Cassian is in the TIE Avenger and he like fucking slams it in reverse. And he goes, shit.
Very real response.
Yeah, but
they could have used like Criff or whatever other like Star Wars swearing in there.
When Neil from Skeleton Crew like exclaims like, you do expect a Criff or a Poodoo out of Neil, because Neil's precious and adorable and we love Neil. And Neil would never curse because he'd get grounded if he cursed.
I think his little brother would. For sure.
Yes.
I have seen that little fucker used so many times against me.
But to your point about like the propaganda and how effective the propaganda is, I want to use this as a segue to how effective the propaganda was on Syril Karn, and how Syril from Premiere Security, from his, and we'll get to this because like, man, I think Syril Karn has the most it's poetry, it rhymes moment at the very end, because from Premiere Security and the two Premiere security guards that harassed Cassian and him wanting to like do right, it's not that he's not Palpatine, he's not Vader, he's not Director Krennic, he is not an evil person, he is not a villain, he wants to do the right thing, but the Imperial propaganda is so entrenched in his veins that his view of doing the right thing is always the wrong thing. And that propaganda like is essentially bottling up in him, and he's a reflection of like lonely and fragile men in like modern culture of like time. And he's a positive representation of that, of like it's like this is what happens when you have these outside forces, whether that's your mother, that's your workplace saying that you're not good enough. You know, it's not that you're not good enough, it's just that there's something else around you that's holding you back. And him, where I feel like he pops is with Dedra when he learns that she was in on it the whole time, and he strangles her because he has cracked. he has popped. He like no longer. It's not because he hates Dedra or he's a toxic man. No, his brain has snapped, and he's back to his primal nature, and he's just like, you are the only person in my life who I have ever had a positive emotion towards, and you had your back turned against me this entire time. Like, tell me what's going on, and I don't know any other way than to just strangle you to get the words out of you. And from that to walking into the plaza of Ghorman, and like, I know it's like it's a stereotypical and cliche filmmaking technique of like, you see it in something like Saving Private Ryan, where like 1,001 bullets and mortars are surrounding Tom Hanks, but he's not getting hit.
Plot armor, yeah. But
but it's like
it's
effective. It's cliche, but it's effective, and just everything about Syril Karn from Pre-More Security up until the Ghorman massacre, again, has been so well done. And he's like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, because the story, like, literally, have you heard the tale of, or the tragedy of Syril Karn the Unwise? Like, like it's such an interesting, I want to know how you guys feel about Syril, because I feel like how he's portrayed, and again, how his story ends, is beyond impactful, especially in the scope of Star Wars.
Okay, here's what I'll say. While I have this thought in my head, there is framing a little bit in my head, at least from like a woman's perspective. I've met guys like him. I've been around men like Syril that come off very creepy, and I use that term very loosely because that can mean many different things.
Right.
The weird behavior with him and Dedra in season 1 was very familiar behavior that I have seen around. He seeks control. Obviously, he is a control freak.
Yes.
When you are emasculated and judged at home by somebody that's presumably loves you and tells you that they care about, I believe that Cyril's mother, Edie, loves her son, but she emasculates him and she judges his decisions.
The tears streaming down her face on the couch, even though she has no confirmation, but she knows. And this is the thing. It's not that it was like, you could see it. It wasn't that Cyril's dead. It's my baby boy is gone. Like, that is the only thing running through her mind. And it's like, it's one of those things, like, it's just like, in spite of everything going on, it's like how terrible she was to him every step of the way. And I do believe that Edie loved Syril, and maybe we don't have time for this. I believe Dedra loved Syril.
I believe Dedra loved Syril.
But
it's a weird dynamic between them because they're both sort of in a very sterile and a very controlled environment.
Yes.
They sort of have to watch themselves at every moment, which is why, like, when they have their intimate moments, like, shut off the light. I don't want any light in this room, because they want to be completely invisible, to have that moment of privacy where they're not being watched by the Empire, by the security, by us, the audience.
Yes.
I think it's a very effective, like, narrative tool to placate them against, like, the passion that you see with Cassian and Bix, with their hands, with their kissing, with their intimacy. Like, it's deliberate, like, framing of those two. Honor Vengeance are next. It's a deliberate, like, placating of those two characters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
With Syril, I struggle. I did cheer when he was popped in the head. I don't.
Yeah,
I did.
I agree.
I don't think he deserves glory. I
No.
am always afraid that a character that is given a significant amount of characterization, which he has, I think Kyle Solar is
Brilliant.
incredible.
He's an amazing
Brilliant.
actor.
I think he's a standout, honestly.
Love
Like,
him.
in a show called Andor, he is a standout to me right now, because his performance is incredible, because it's so layered and nuanced. Because you want to say, oh, he's all of these different things. He may not be, and I say may not be, leaving room for interpretation, may not be a fascist ideologically, but he's still pushing paper, taking the promotions, and Dedra is right in that concern.
You enjoyed the promotions. Like,
You
she
enjoyed
did.
the promotions.
Exactly. And I feel like, had he been, like, brought in from the beginning and been on board, he would have done it all.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, he was more hurt by the fact that he was kept in the dark than by the action itself. Like, when I was seeing him in the Ghorman massacre, like, when he was looking around and, like, the camera's going around him, to me, it's horror at the aftermath that he wasn't expecting, not so much horror at them dying. Like, yes, there's a little bit of that, but it was, like, a lot more of just, like, oh my God, like,
what is this beast
I've been
that I've been
manipulated
feeding
into
Yeah.
into
Yes.
participating in this, right?
I think that
especially for a character, I'm so sorry, that is obsessed with law. Like, what's
Yeah.
his motivation the whole time? To catch Cassian, to punish him for committing a crime. So that's
Yep.
already baked into the character, that he loves that control, that everything is in its place. Everything about him is so sterile. His tie, his haircut, the way he shaves his face, his apartment, like everything is extremely controlled to almost an obnoxious level.
Yeah.
But one thing that I may push back a little bit slightly, Chase, against is, I don't think he snapped when he choked Dedra. That was a clear example of male rage enacting those insulish sort of like qualities that he's been displaying throughout. That he has strange connection to the women in his life because
yes.
the women in his life are very like controlling of him.
The reason I say he snapped is because I don't view like if Dedra and Syril and their apartment on Coruscant had a huge blow up of any proportion, I don't believe that he would have done that.
No,
then.
I agree. I agree.
And it was this like I think it was what you have is everything all at once coming down and collapsing around Syril. Like, not only is like, because he liked that job, he liked being at the Bureau of Standards.
He liked being valuable.
Yeah, and he didn't dislike the Ghormans. He liked them. He wanted to. He viewed them as people, and it's why it's so important that he was at some of those meetings and he was listening to them and he was hearing them. And like, yes, he's behind the scenes. He's collecting information and he's what he believes is looking for outside agitators. But it's everything from what his mother has always been to him, what Uncle Harlow has been, how he was treated at Premiere, how he was treated at like the paper pushing job that he was forced into. Everything that, and he felt that his job at the Bureau of Standards on Ghorman was like when he says to Partagaz, or the line after Partagaz, like, if I say this is the greatest day of my life, does it spoil it? Which is like it's a cute line, but also it has a lot of meaning behind it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that there were so many things going on, and you're right, it is a moment of male rage, but so many things happened to Syril in the course of 5 minutes. And this is why I think when he does go out into the plaza and he's just dumbfoundedly staring at the horrors around him, and he sees Cassian Andor and boom, snaps again. It's like he's almost pulled right back into Premiere security because he's lost control of everything. And he's like, oh my gosh, I could almost like see in his mind, I can take this back to Premiere security and get my promotion back there. Like, he's like completely lost it. But the thing that I loved the most was his death. Because part A of his death was the unceremonious, and this is something, again, we talked about like Yord's neck snap. We talked about the gore, like hitting the crotch. We do not see people shot in the head in Star Wars.
No, we do not.
They are shot in the belly. Ooh, my tummy's burning.
Yep.
Shoulder.
We do not see people shot in the head. He was shot, and it's very important. I can't remember the character's name, but the guy who's running, Rylan, it's very important. He does it. The thing that I loved about his death is it is the beginning of his story. It is, you chose to harass a man with dark figures and you chose the wrong person to mess with. The thing that starts his story is the thing that ends his story. And I think that's where the whole It's Poetry, It Rhymes just fits Syril so beautifully and so perfectly, because he's not a good person. He was doing the wrong thing for who knows how long. We don't know how long he was at Premiere security. Like everything he did, like, no, he's not an evil person. No, he's not a genocidal maniac.
That's fair.
Yeah, he's not.
But he's still not a good person. And he wanted to be, like, somewhere in his heart, he wanted to be a good person. He just, again, he was fed by that propaganda machine that the Empire had been feeding him for probably since the Empire took over, and he was old enough to work a security job. And it all culminated to You wanted to take action. You took the wrong action. It's the butterfly effect. If Syril would have listened to his fucking boss, none of this would have happened.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
Luke Skywalker would have never blown up the Death Star.
he was too. The thing was, sorry, go ahead, David.
No, it's fine.
I
I just gonna say
no, you haven't spoken in a while. Go ahead.
the cherry on top with all of that is when Cassian says, "Who are you?" The look on Cyril's face was like, "I know every detail about you. How can you not know who I am?" And then he gets shot in the head.
lowers his gun too.
Yeah.
And, like, that
He
look
has
of
this-
absolute.
Yeah.
So how do you interpret that? He's not going to kill him, or he's in disbelief?
He's in
I think
disbelief.
he's just more so considering, like, do I kill myself now? It was a quick
That's actually I like that.
I think
That
he's in
might be true.
disbelief. I think there's also an element of like the parasocial relationships
Yes,
being
100%.
shown of like, look, we're all very fortunate to have like met each other in real life and
Yep.
like be in group chats, but like they're like, we all have a range of followers and we have a range of interactions that we have. Like I have had those interactions at like Celebration London where someone came up to me and was like, oh, it's you. And I'm like, but motherfucker, I don't have that many followers. This is weird. But like I get weird DMs. I know all of you have gotten weird DMs of people that think they know you. And I'm like, I don't know you. Who are you? And they're like, they know you. They watch every video. They do all this. Like we experience it. And there's obviously other people out there that have it way worse than any of us could even dream.
Oh, yeah.
And this is like such an interesting interpretation of that because obviously like we are getting more real world stuff. Like we're getting news, you know, in Star Wars. We're getting FaceTime on the Jetsons computer on Ghorman.
Real world, correct. That's right.
Yeah, right. And like it's that's a whole other thing I could talk about, but like it is interesting to see this parasocial relationship between Syril and Cassian because Cassian, we've seen what Cassian has been up to as well as what Syril has been up to, and they've been on totally different paths. And like Cyril's just another guy that Cassian pointed a gun at one point in his life. That's it.
And he's a narrative foil to Cassian. Both of their journeys are parallel and opposite of each other in many ways. Dying for something, dying literally for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loving mothers versus loving mothers, but mothers emasculate you and discourage you, while Cassian's mother encourages him. The passionate love versus whatever Syril and Dedra have.
I will say I love Edie because we all know an Edie in our lives.
I know a few Edie's, unfortunately.
Edie.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm gonna let the sociopath in me come out. When I saw Edie cry at the end of episode 2, the amount of joy that I felt. I'm not kidding. I
hate to
smiled
admit it. I hate to
like
admit
the
it.
fucking devil was inside of me.
Derek, call me as an empath.
I was like, what are you like crying about almost a little bit? But I was, yeah.
I had the
felt bad
opposite.
for a second.
I felt bad the entire time because I'm like, I know she's a nasty woman. She is just spiteful and despicable. But like I said, she lost her baby boy.
Yeah.
And like no matter who, and it's like, and this is what I love about Andor and what I hated about the expanded universe in its like twilight years before the acquisition was a lot of expanded universe was becoming very sympathetic towards the Empire and wanting to tell stories of the Empire. And like, this is why we have YouTube videos with like 30 kajillion views on how the Empire was right all along. And what I love about Andor and how it's been handled, again, that comes back to with care, it humanizes the Empire without condoning it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, we get this with Syril, we get this with Dedra, and we get this with Edie. And we get this with a lot of the senators that Mon Mothma interacts with. And it's like, have you guys read Mask of Fear?
Not yet. I'm about 50 pages in.
It's in my Amazon cart after this episode. Though.
Watch it and rewatch season 2 and the whole show changes. No, this is not a spoiler, but there is essentially a conversation between Mon Mothma and a senator. Like, and she's asking like, hey, let's make sure that the power is being in check. And the senator's reaction is, you are asking me to turn against the man who ended the Clone Wars and stopped the suffering of my people. How dare you? Talking about Emperor Palpatine. How dare you?
Which, I mean, without the outside knowledge of who Palpatine is,
yes,
that is the
he doesn't know he's Darth Sidious.
Exactly. If that is the context,
he's
Chancellor
Palpatine. He's Chancellor Palpatine who took control and ended the war. This is how a lot of people viewed Richard Nixon. It's like, how dare you, how dare you ask me to turn against the man that saved my child from the Vietnam War?
That's exactly right.
I'm asking you because of Watergate, motherfucker.
Because Lucas did base Palpatine on Nixon.
Right. And it's like,
okay.
there are these parallel. Oh, it's like, well, there's that, and then you have literally the Nymordians are like Lot Dodd and
Asian as fuck.
No, well, yes, it's no, it's Newt Gunray is Newt Gingrich. Like literally, he's Newt Gingrich.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Lot Dodd is, I can't remember the politician. There's another like shitty conservative politician that's part of the Bush administration.
That's right.
That is like Newt Gunray and Lot Dodd are these two just despicable conservative politicians from the early 2000s that were part of the Iraq War. And like, look, Bill Clinton's not a good guy. I'm sorry, but like there was lots of conspiring going on that like has continued from Bill onto Hillary and like Newt Gingrich and all these other conservative politicians that were part of the Bush administration. This is what the prequels are about, okay? Yeah. and we're seeing
there's no politics in Star Wars, guys.
There's no politics.
This is going on for so long. I am so sorry.
Keep your politics away from my pew pew and
from my laser sword.
Look,
there's screaming robots going on.
There's politics of Star Wars that even we like. I know that like all of us have done. Like the politics of Star Wars existing entirely is based on Republican Congress, and Return of the Jedi is because of Ronald Reagan. Like it's hard to admit, but like the original trilogy is a 6-hour commercial for Luke Skywalker action figures and the Millennium Falcon. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. It was the first movie to sell toys alongside of the movie. Like there's so much stuff to go on this, but it's so interesting to see what Andor is doing. Not to go on a fucking tirade about like American politics and Star Wars. I'm sorry.
It's valid.
We can save that for another day if you'd
But
really
it's
like.
deeply caked in. It just is. People denying that. Seriously, I no longer argue with it. Just dangle keys in front of your camera.
There's a very difficult conversation. Like I have had that very internal monologue with myself about Star Wars of like, the whole ethical consumption under capitalism. Like, can you be truly anti-capitalist and like something like Star Wars? The answer's fucking no.
No.
Like, but like we love it because you said the keys, the shiny
Lightsabers in
keys
the
and the lightsabers and the spaceships are so cool.
Dangle the keys, baby.
And there is something like powerful about having
aliens.
like. Yeah.
Was that Chrysanthemum?
No, that's Anzelin.
Yeah, I know.
I can't see.
Wait, where did you get that?
This is one of the ones for you, by the way, Sue.
Yeah,
but it's too blurry. Can you clean it up?
No. Are you serious?
The lighting in here. I'll send pictures. But...
Chase, we just proved your point. Look, literally dangled a fucking key.
Look,
and the idiots went, "Oh, is that cute?
Here's the thing.
I
don't mean this to call you out, Johnny. I don't mean this to call out anyone on this podcast, anyone listening. It's like there is something to be said, and maybe this is a whole other conversation, but like let's not forget that Black Series Andor figures were ready to be sold in February. That Funko Pops for Andor Season 2 were on shelves before the show aired. Like, let's not forget what this is all about. Yes, Andor is beautiful. Yes, Andor is incredible. It's the best thing we've gotten since 1980, since Empire Strikes Back came out. Like, I have a lot of issues with Return of the Jedi. That's why I'm saying
it's probably the most like relevant show, like politically and socially
100%.
that we have.
The most, not
it
even
is
the most,
like
number one, I would say.
Right, like within I don't know how many years, but right now it is the most important one. And like, yes, it's Star Wars and it's Disney, and is there ethical consumption under capitalism? But the thing with Andor is like it gives us a framework to like speak about the real world things, because if you can understand it in Andor, if you can understand it in Star Wars, you can hopefully understand it in real life. But we still have, oh my God.
Have you been on the internet?
Dude, there are people who are like, oh yeah, January 6th, this is what this is showing. And I'm like...
And Palestine.
Insanity.
You know what? This is...
You're equating this to January 6th?
Wait, were people actually doing that?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Here's the thing. I'm not on Twitter. I deliberately deleted Twitter from my...
It's on TikTok. It's on TikTok.
It's on TikTok. Dude, I've just been blocking.
I've seen some fucking swamp water take. They're not, the dog water's too kind. Like,
but it's like those people are maybe too far gone. I don't know.
insurrection is not a term that was invented on January 6th, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about at this point? Like, holy shit.
There are good and bad insurrections. Like, Gaddafi had an insurrection, guys. Like, it's like, hello. But no, like, this is the thing, and I know we're running really late on time because I have a lot of.
You said you needed to run out at an hour 30.
There's things I want to say about Dedra. There's things I want to say about Bix. I did a video on Dedra because I want to be really. I want to be. The first word that came into my head was adore Dedra, and I'm like, that's not the right word to use.
It's a character you love to hate, like
You know,
because just done so brilliantly.
I'm gonna say
Jaw
this.
doing all the acting is my
Dude,
favorite.
the frown in
Her eyes
last
honestly
arc
for
was
me.
It's
beautiful.
scratching the right part of my brain because she's so animated, like facially.
Denise is
here's what-
just...
And here's what I'll say: like in a group chat, we were I was being a little cheeky, I guess, as our friend Tate would say. Like when Syril was choking her. She is a fascist, a very complicit one, very much knows exactly what she's doing. So maybe press that neck a little harder.
For a second there, I thought you were going to be like, nah, violence against women, even fascist women, is still wrong.
Here's the thing. Would she have gotten aroused from it?
The context of the choking is what matters here. She was not being choked for being a fascist. She was being choked in a domestic violence type of environment, which that immediately becomes.
He was choking his girlfriend. Like,
choking his girlfriend.
This
This
get
wasn't
away from that fact.
Exactly.
There is symbolism with Cyril's story. There's lots of nuance to that. You're right. This is a man choking his girlfriend. There's no way of getting around that.
In season 1, it was a man stalking a woman.
And somebody made
right?
Somebody made a great point. It was a Tumblr post or Twitter post. Like even Dedra, in the position of power that she's in, that she actually is the trigger on the that pushes the finger. Yep. She is still, as a woman, surrounded by men who can overpower her. So she is not exempt from her gender in that moment as well. So there's just so much in that scene with her and Syril. Like again, him snapping. The reason I don't like to use snap, it implies I don't know what I'm doing, kind of a thing, and that could get a little tricky. But I know what you mean. He has been
lapse in judgment.
He's pushed to the limit.
Yes,
correct.
that is exactly. He's been pushed to the limit. He's been pushed past his limit.
Oh, past. Correct. That's a better way to put it. Because everything that's happening, you're right. He snapped. He was pushed past that limit. But he knew that he was hurting her because he grabbed her shoulders and she was. And then
she said, "You're hurting me.
You're hurting me," and then escalated to the neck and to the threat of murder. And when you frame it, it is a moment of a boyfriend choking his girlfriend. And that part can be very difficult. It has. I mean, I don't want anything sanitized. I think art should express all the uncomfortable things that we are not comfortable to talk about. Even with Bix, and we already know what happened to her on Rao.
Exactly.
Like that was a very difficult scene to watch, but it's a necessary one.
Discomfort is a part of, or can be a part of art.
Sorry, very quickly.
It should be.
Like he's been trying to say something last.
I'm so sorry, Dave.
It's all good.
It's okay. No, I don't want to interrupt anyone because all of this conversation is fantastic. But just a brief moment with Dedra, where I got this sort of callback to when Anakin is trying to justify his actions to Padme,
Oh my God, yes.
and says, "I can overthrow the Chancellor." Like she had that same vibe of trying to justify her actions to Syril. Even neither of them are redeemable.
We're going to go home as heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, it's actually a good comparison.
That's actually such a good parallel. And Padme also being like a woman in a very high
position of power,
position of power, and
not exempt from her gender and her
Tony Gilroy, you son of a bitch.
You've done it again.
You know when a creator studies up the lore, the history, the real world events, and just kind of combines them all into
There's one thing about Dedra that I do want to talk about, and it was to me the standout scene of this arc, and I know it's kind of insignificant. It is Dedra Miro breaking down in the communications room, and again, like what you said, like all the acting with her jawline, she doesn't say a single word.
Nothing.
in that thing, and like her shaking, she's covered in sweat,
hand.
she's covered in dirt, and like the dirt from all the explosions going on,
Collar.
and she's tearing out her collar. And here's the thing, she is changing, and I preface this, she's not turning to the good side, and like this
Okay,
this was
Okay.
I very much, I did a video about this whole thing, and it's like,
I'll have to look it up.
we're going to have the end of Dedra Meero's arc, and it will not be about saving Dedra Meero's soul. That's not happening. I think there is
right. Yeah.
I think there is a chance that, because here's the thing about that scene in the communications room. The reason she's tugging at her uniform is because she no longer fits within the ISB. She has realized, because of Ghorman, she doesn't fit here. She's realized, because of what Syril has said and done, she doesn't belong anymore. She has, I don't want to say outgrown, but she no longer fits in her uniform. And you see her at points trying to tug the uniform down, trying to make it fit, because it's this perfectly tailored thing. And like, it was a beautifully, it's so white it matched the walls of the ISB office, and now it is an off-white, covered in dirt and covered in blood. And she's trying to pull it down and adjust it, and it's not working. She can't make it work. I think that here is my 0.00001% chance of this happening. She is going to find Axis, Luthen. She is going to give him information about Krennic and his plans, and she's going to kill herself.
Ooh, I like the idea. Of
I think
Dedra
she's
killing
going to kill
herself,
herself.
I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting. See,
This is
Dedra-
also a show that has given us the trifecta of horrible things to see on television. You might as well just.
I'm intrigued by this.
That is intriguing.
She's
is
not
intriguing.
again. This is not about saving her soul. This is not about her
No.
becoming a good person, and she's going to become a hero of the rebellion. Because like the thing is, and I know like you guys haven't read Alphabet Squadron, which you should.
I just
have the
got the book.
trilogy.
Thank you.
Okay, amazing. While I was watching all of this going on with Dedra Meero, I was like, I'm never getting Erica Quell in live action, but this is the story of Erica Quell.
The only thing, Chase,
This is because Ghorman is her Necronus. Like, this is her operations center, because Erica Quell, let's never forget, Erica Quell committed genocide. That is what the trilogy is about someone who committed genocide, reconciling with what they did, and doing something to slightly correct that, even though it never happens. Because her half of her squad mates will never accept her for who she is. And like, you have someone like Harrison Dula who has seen the worst of the rebellion, is like, you'll never be forgiven for what you've done, but you have done enough to make some people understand you. And this is the same thing, and this is what I brought up in my video, is there is a reason that Luke is alone at the pyre of Darth Vader. Because the galaxy will not forgive Darth Vader, but Luke can. The galaxy will never forgive Erica Quell, but Chasna Chaddock and Harrison Dula can. And I think we can get that. I think there's a strong possibility we'll get the same with Dedra Meero. The galaxy will not forgive Dedra Meero for Ghorman. Maybe Edie will. Maybe Luthen will. Maybe Cassian will.
the galaxy is not going to forgive Kylo Ren, but Rey may forgive.
But
them
Rey
also.
forgives him.
It's
And
okay. I forgive him too.
Only the sexy ones get forgiven again. The only slight pushback
Sure.
is the trailer chase. That's the only thing.
I don't remember.
why I am
the
so
I am
glad
so. I am not
cleared
a.
it off
I
of my
watched a
brain.
trailer once and.
Okay,
like,
all right.
like-
There's an image of her doing something in the trailer. I'm not going to say what
Okay.
she's doing.
Here's
That's
the thing with
maybe the only
I
thing.
do want to quickly take a moment here and just say, Chase, we're at an hour 33.
We're fine.
I'm gonna give
I
you an-
probably wouldn't make it to where I need to be anyway, so we're
Okay,
fine.
I wanted to give you
No.
at least an opportunity to
Oh,
get
you
where
have to go.
wanted.
Oh my god!
I don't have to go. I wanted to go. I don't have to go.
Okay. In that case, let's continue
Okay.
because I am really enjoying this conversation. Mind you, we're still only on episode 8.
we
Oh my god!
So you had something
We
you wanted
haven't
to say.
even
You were
gotten
saying.
to the Mon Mothma
I want to hear
episode.
because because like I have like Yrica Quell is my favorite character in Star Wars, like point blank. Like there's no getting past that. Like her character arc is so compelling to me.
You've sold me on the books.
Damn it! I'm gonna now read them. I was gonna. They're thick.
Like,
they are thick.
Like I mean this wholeheartedly. Victory's Price is the best Star Wars book. Like it is. Like it is
Bold
just.
statement.
It is
Very bold statement.
how they handle exactly what I just said. Like Alexander Freed is like beyond talented.
He is very good. Mask of Fear is. I'm only 50 pages into it, beautifully written. Shadow of the Sith is an okay book, but the writing is what elevates it. Like
I don't like. I know that I'm like the dumb X-wing nerd here, but like I love the Stackpole novels, and I love them because they're like, hey, do you want to know how the targeting system on an X-wing works? Do you want to know where the repulsors are and exactly where every button is? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Whereas Alexander Freed is like, yeah, X-wings are super cool. You know what's extra cool? The motherfucker flying it.
I didn't know this. He's also the one who wrote the novelization of Rogue One.
Yes,
He did.
Yeah. Tate was telling me to read it.
So here's the thing
a
about
great
Alexander.
novel.
Rebel Rising too.
I have to finish that one too. That's good.
So good.
Alexander
I still
Freed.
have all of High Republic I need to read. You guys are adding more.
You're
to
fine.
the list.
You're
You
fine.
should read real stuff, like the real good books.
I love High Republic fans. As High Republic fans, you know, they're such good friends.
I have this.
I have all of them too.
Hey, I got to Fallen Star. I'm good. Okay.
I got to phase 2. I think I got
Haley-
further than most people.
Haley loves High Republic, and I love that for her. And
I'm
she
just
will
being a
tell me-
dickhead.
But here's
Why
the
you love
thing
ya?
here's the thing to kind of like tie it in is Alexander Freed, in the same way that I think that Tony Gilroy does, is he tackles things that I think are just difficult to deal with. It's like, okay, cool, you are the big bad Imperial. You defected to the rebellion. You have the great story. Okay, now tell me how it feels when you just shot your best friend. Tell me how that feels. Like that's not fun. That's not fun for anyone. And it's one of those things. It's like when you have someone like Yrica Quell, who, and I don't want to spoil too much because the books are really, really good.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
She is never fully non-Imperial. Like, and they make that very clear. They make that, like, she has to come to terms with this, and like other characters like surrounding her have to come to terms with this, that there are things that are indoctrinated into her within the Empire that are never going to go away. That like she just cannot erase. Like she cannot erase the fact that one of her girlfriends, like she doesn't know if she killed or not. Like, and it's like it's tackling things like that, and that's where I really enjoy. And I hope that there's something along the lines with Dedra that I don't want her redeemed. I don't want her soul saved. I don't want any of that. She doesn't deserve it in the same way Yrica Quell doesn't deserve it. But it's like she has an opportunity to do at least one good thing. And it's like one, and sometimes that's all it takes for someone. Sometimes it could be Darth Vader throwing Palpatine down the reactor core shaft. That's one good thing. And it made a difference. And he's a terrible person. Kylo Ren gave his life to bring Rey back because he knew that Rey could bring good and hope and justice to the galaxy in a way that he never was going to. There's absolutely no way that the man who orchestrated Starkiller Base and destroyed Hosnian Prime, he did the Death Star 5 times over. He's not fucking getting forgiven for that shit. Like, and I think Shadowfall's where a lot of people fall off. You're putting these on screen.
Yeah.
Shadowfall is Chasna Chaddock's book. And a lot of people don't like Chasna Chaddock. I love Chasna Chaddock.
They look great.
They're cool.
They're beautiful.
The artwork of these are so good. But yes, Victory's Price is
That one.
And there's, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil any anymore.
Please
but,
don't.
like,
Please don't. You're priming me too
told us.
hard.
You've told us. You're good.
If
You
I want to
overprime me.
say, Vel and Cinta were not the first good queer couple in Star Wars.
Live action.
Oh,
Live action. I want to
oh.
specify that.
Live action,
Live action.
Alphabet Squadron. is
I'm
one of the
still
best.
mad about Cinta, by the way.
The more I learned about it, the worse
You
it got.
already know. my spiel.
Very
Very quickly, just very
bridging.
quickly. The death of Cinta was really making me hoping for that one guy who was singing at the Ghorman protest. I was really hoping he was gonna die. He doesn't. That's fine.
I will
Or the
I
one
will
who causes
say
her death by accident?
Yes, the one who just comes by, just
Oh,
go like,
no.
"What's happening here?"
Well, it was really the idiot that brought the blaster with him, and he
Yes.
saved
Yeah.
Cassian and crashed into
I-
K2.
there's like harmful tropes involved with Cinta's death, but here's my thing about it is it does this is my opinion. Andor is the show of monologues. Vel's monologue is my favorite monologue.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to cry. You know,
Yeah,
like
no, I do like that.
Yeah.
and we were talking about swearing. I was like, if we got one fuck,
F-bomb.
it should have been Vel. You are not allowed to fucking cry.
Fucking cry. No, 100%. I'm with you on that one.
And
100%
see, we
agree.
could have gotten all of that and still avoided those harmful tropes. That's the
The
thing that
two of
gets
them, yeah.
me. Like, is we could have still had the same ending, the same, like way. The thing is that the trope took away the weight of it for me. Like, as soon as as soon as I knew that it was like the blaster goes off, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be Cinta, and then like I didn't
Me
feel
too.
anything because I was like, it's a trope. Like why are you like immediately afterwards? Didn't even wait.
I
It was like
felt
20
that-
minutes, right? It
I
kind of
felt that
took it out of me.
when I was watching it, I was like, of course, like the one like live action like queer couple, like they just have to like take apart by death. But Vel's monologue like redeemed this scene for me, because like I love this was just one of those things like it just progressively got better and better. But like obviously Luthen's monologue in season 1 is iconic, but it's very like Shakespearean. It's very
Oh yeah, for
he
sure.
rehearsed this on the
Tragic
Fondor
and
100 times. Whereas like
It was raw with Vel.
like because I even loved Perrin's monologue. It was like heartwarming, and
It
like
is.
you felt
It
that
was.
there a lot of Andor season 2 has been about unconventional love.
Yeah.
And Perrin and Mon love each other in a very strange way.
In
They
a
love each
strange
other.
way. Yeah.
It's a way that like very few people understand. In fact, most people don't understand. Like Vel and Cinta also have an unconventional love. They have a love that cannot be because of who they are and how they're tied to the rebellion. It's just like it is. Their resistance is within the resistance. And you obviously have Syril and Dedra, and there's like
Bix and Cassian.
Bix and Cassian, and we haven't gotten to Bix yet, but anyway.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
but like there is a line from Marva that like encapsulates it, and it's like that's just love.
That's just love. It's probably one of the best lines I think in Star Wars. It's top 10.
And we see this with so many characters, and this is what I love about Andor is that it doesn't matter what era of Star Wars you're looking at, whether it's the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, you know, the Clone Wars, whatever, you know, the live action stuff. There have been so many characters that like I would say are on the same level as a Vel or Cinta or Syril that are one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And like I enjoyed Tales of the Underworld. It's my least favorite Tales so far.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but Haley and I were talking about this. I'm like there's just not anything to Cad Bane, and it's like I did enjoy seeing 1980s Brooklyn and like the J train overhead in Star Wars because like I fucking lived there. Like there was like a this is
Who is
good for
the
me.
who's the main character in that arc? It's Nero.
Is it Nero? Is it
Nero,
is it Cad?
100%.
But like
Yeah.
Cad is a like one-dimensional character, and
Very
like
much so.
not to like dog on Ventress, but like when we look at the Clone Wars, she's like I'll give her a 1.5 dimensional character. Like like she is there to swing a lightsaber and be provocative while doing so.
There's nothing wrong with that archetype to have those types of
Sure.
characters. I like femme fatales. I like
Sure. Like
everything has
her
its place.
stabbing the clone and kissing him on the cheek. Like
Femme
iconic.
fatale.
Love
There
it.
it is.
There's a I don't know if you like
Stab me,
read
mother.
manga or watch anime. There's an anime called like Black Lagoon that is like it's very much about the femme fatale trope. Like Kill la Kill is another one. But the thing is that what is so interesting about Andor, and it's like the 20th Century Fox era of Star Wars and the Disney era of Star Wars hasn't really done this, and it's like a character who could be so one-dimensional and non-whatever like Vel isn't. They are multi-dimensional. That like Vel and Cinta and Syril, Partagaz and Perrin have facets to their character. And like there's nuance to all of these
Mom's
characters.
daughter with her 2 lines.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can literally scope her out who she is as a 14-year-old teenager.
The fact that like just the visual storytelling alone that helps these characters is when you see this beautiful gown just and this amazing hover hanger. That's awesome, first of all. But
great.
like her veil is a cage surrounding the gown, and then she puts the gown on, and it's like every time anyone is wearing anything, I'm like, the costume team of this show.
What in the world?
Good Lord!
Beautiful.
Mon's dresses or gowns,
I mean, but this is like the thing about the Andor does so well with its visual storytelling is like when I know this is jumping around, but like when Cassian and Mon are fleeing the Senate and she sheds her senatorial coat, and it goes from this blue to this white, and then she dons the earthen tone. Yes,
Yeah,
and then she puts on Cassian's coat, and it goes to the earthen tones
I got
of the
goosebumps.
rebellion.
And he says, "Welcome to the rebellion," as she's putting on his coat.
And
It
like
was
that's the color.
beautiful.
That's the color that the rebellion is wearing, and it's just so many things because like God, every garment that Mon Mothma wears from season 1 to season 2 is just like art in textiles, just encapsulated, and like even
show looks expensive. It's filmed on set.
Perrin's like luxury robes that he wears, like down to the initial rebels on Yavin and how they're dressed and stuff like that. It's just like there's so much of this. There's the
Cyril's suits.
Yeah.
going back, and this is what the show has done so well for me, that like again, it's not even that it's like the best Star Wars show, it's just such an incredible show.
Period.
There's the image of El and Cinta at the cafe, and there's the yin yang window where Cinta is standing into the upper portion of that.
Yeah.
Yes. And it is like there is a like
I thought this was like a breakup scene.
Right.
I like when you first see when we first saw the still, I was like,
She was literally quite sent to kill Tay.
yeah.
And it's like it's this moment because like Vel has been this very stoic, and like we see this in Aldani, right? Because she's like you need to make this call. Like this is your job to make the call. Don't make me tell you how to do your job. Like she is the one who has always been in control in that relationship, and we see this through a friggin' window frame. Like is just how this is being told. Like the story is being told, and we see like we've talked about it with the barricades on Ghorman. We see this visual storytelling of things encircling you, and this. Oh, I hate this show.
I think because we've been spoiled and like primed for greatness. Now everything is gonna feel very much like almost less, and that's my worry.
I'm not kidding. All I'm excited for after Andor season 2 is over is just Star Wars Vision, because that has zero connection to anything.
This is my pushback on this. I've been thinking a lot about like the Disney era of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And here's what pisses me off. Not about what you just said, but just like the fandom in general is the difference between like the Lucas era and the Disney. No, it's the Lucas era. I'm sorry, it's the Disney era versus the Fox era. Like never forget that.
That's right. That's actually the right comparison.
A New Hope was not an indie film that George was like, hey, wouldn't it be neat? Like, no, this was to sell toys, guys. It is
by a major studio.
The thing about the Disney era for me personally is like, I know you don't like The Rise of Skywalker, and that's totally fine and totally valid. When I go back as someone who loves science fiction and also horror films, and I have this tolerance of bad films, like the Star Wars clones of the 1980s, and like I don't know if you watch like Mystery Science Theater, there's tons of them, and it's just like, while I can pull apart something like Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, and Rise of Skywalker, like which are like kind of my least favorite Star Wars films, The Rise of Skywalker is a better film than so many other movies out there. And The Acolyte is a better show than so many other shows out there. And when you especially compare it to the slop. Like the true slop of the Fox era. Like like I always say, never forget, before we got Empire, we got the holiday special.
You had to
Look,
bring in the holiday special.
All I'm
Come
gonna say is I still feel robbed that I never got Star Wars Detour.
But here's the thing. Like I also say, like, don't ever forget the last thing we got in the Fox era of Star Wars. The last thing that Star Wars released before Disney bought it was Star Wars Connect, which was a broken video game with the I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo.
Okay,
I will
but it
never
is
hear that
so
song the same again.
iconic.
Yeah.
It is so iconic, though. For all
If
the wrong
that
reasons.
if that came out today, how would you feel?
I'd still fuck with it.
Yeah.
But I look at this like as in like an encapsulating thing of like, I love Michael Stackpole and the X-Wing series. That series has 13 books. Like they just milked it to death. The new Jedi Order, I think, is 12.
20. New Jedi Order is like 20 something.
Pardon me? I beg you, find
Does that include the
Wow.
comics, or is that just the novels?
That's just the novels.
Okay, because there are New Jedi Order comics as
Yeah.
well.
I'm just no, thank you.
I spent so much
And,
time
like,
reading all of them.
As much as I
Oh my God,
love
bro.
Rogue
Oh my
Squadron
God,
and
David.
Wedge's Gambit and like the Stackpole era, like the later X-Wing novels are just gibberish. Like they're not real books. It is like one of the reasons I stopped reading the expanded universe was because I was tired of Luke Skywalker did a backflip over Stormtrooper, alien, monster, blah blah blah, and stabbed it. Like that's the expanded universe. Like, you know, in the late 90s and early 2000s, and then there was like Leland Shee brought stuff together, and that's why you have stuff like the Old Republic and Plagueis in the later years.
The
but
good
like
stuff.
yeah, but it's like when I look at the books that we've gotten, and it's like, look, if I look at a book like Tarkin, which is like a mediocre book, it's still so much better.
I like that book. I don't know.
It took me like 3 times to get through it. Like
So
It-
like
I think it's one of James Luceno's weakest works. Let me put it that way.
That's fair.
I've read, I actually did a count once because I was really curious. I've read about 110 expanded universe books over the years.
And
then-
25 of them are good.
Yeah, I mean, like when you go back,
Is that generous?
when you go back to them, it's like, all right, a lot of this stuff is dated. A lot of it is weird, doesn't work within the realms of Star Wars. So many problems with it. And like, I think I've read Heir to the Empire trilogy
I've read that
several
one.
times. I
Yeah.
mean,
Which
that's,
is great. It's great.
That one
Timothy
is
Zahn's
good.
very talented.
That's
That one is very
probably-
good.
But when
that
you
one
read
in the
when you
Hand
read
of Thrawn, best.
yeah, when
best
you
of them.
read the new Thrawn trilogy, you see that Timothy Zahn has grown as an author.
Yeah.
Time.
Like if you were like the original like the X-Wing Rogue Squadron, the first X-Wing book, there like I am not shitting you. There is a moment in that book where Corran Horn has come back from a mission, and there is a girl that kind of likes him, and she like is like, "Oh, you're injured from your flight. Let me show you my cleavage." And then no, don't even stop there, because he's like, no, ma'am, I can't do that. You know. Oh, okay. Well, if you need anything, and another woman walks in the room as soon as she leaves and does the exact same thing.
She walks in boobily.
She boobily breasted into his room.
She boobily breasted.
And this is the thing is that like
Women written by men.
like yes, I can even look at stuff in Andor. I'm like, how the fuck did Cassian get off of Ghorman? Fuck I call bullshit. Like they didn't have like something ready to shoot down any ship getting out of the atmosphere.
I'm just gonna throw
I
this
call
in here
bullshit.
because I can't find a better spot. But right there,
What's his name? I found her. Bam.
found her. Bam.
That's a great meme. I
That
love
is
it.
such a great meme.
That's a great meme.
I-
That's exactly
I
I'm
need
gonna
a
be using that
textless
a lot.
version of this.
I don't remember him smiling when he shot her.
Neither do I.
But
Did they edit?
I'm like,
I know it's very ranty and a very like convoluted way of getting around it, but like even with Tales of the Underworld, it pales in comparison to something like Andor. But I also
Oh my
look
God.
at it. I also look at it as like.
Coffin baby versus hydrogen bomb, dude.
But I was thinking about it, and like if these 3 episodes were arcs in season 4 of the Clone Wars, they'd be top tier arcs. They really
Yeah.
would. Like, and that just solidifies, guys, Clone Wars fucking sucks. I'm sorry.
70% of it.
Listen, it was okay from my perspective because I watched
with
it
you.
like the last couple of years. I didn't even know it existed before. I think maybe 3 years ago. To me, it was like for kids. Like it's a show made for kids, and so for
is.
that
You're not
quality,
wrong.
if like at that bar, it's fine, it's decent.
Look. In my honest to God opinion,
Like it's filled with
it
stereotypes
gets
and
its shit together only after Darth Maul comes back.
Somehow Maul returned.
I wanted to say something about the whole quality of like Disney. To me, it's less about like the quality of the story. I mean, yes, there is like the quality of the stories and the writings, but a lot of it is also like studio interference and
Oh my
also
God. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
certain people, Filoni, not letting go of creative
Gatekeeping.
control. The reason that Andor works is because Tony Gilroy was able to, from the very start, negotiate a contract that allowed him the full 2 seasons and creative control. Had he not gotten that, I don't think
I
we would have
agree.
gotten Andor at this level.
Yeah,
Because Acolyte is a really great example of like, there was a vision, there was the chance to get to a high quality like story, and and you can see
The
like
crumbs.
the
The
potential
crumbs
there.
of
You can
greatness.
see the love and the effort and everything that went into it, and then it just got like
It was
like
clunky.
I think
just
I-
cut up by the studio.
I do like the Acolyte. I
I
enjoyed
do,
it quite a
I do
lot.
too.
My and this allowed me to be a toxic fanboy for a second.
I love it. I
I'm
encourage
for
it.
this.
This is where I do not agree with the fandom menace about Leslie Headland, but I do like this is one of, to me, the whole season 2 of the Acolyte being canceled, blah blah blah, is this is like going to a job that clearly lines out how the job works, and you go against it, and then you get fired, and you're like, what? And it's like this is how television, not that it hasn't always, like, it's always worked like this in a way. Like if a show doesn't do well, it doesn't get a second season
Correct.
typically.
Like Suits LA.
And it's like it is more prominent and is more felt in the world of social media and streaming. There's no denying that.
100%.
If you are a professional, you are a showrunner, what are you doing building up a cliffhanger as cliffhangery as the Acolyte when you don't have a contract signed saying you're getting a second season? That's not studio meddling. That's not like some deep state Lucasfilm Disney corporate control. That's Leslie Headland making a gamble that didn't pay off.
I agree.
I agree with that.
And I know that JJ, you and I talked about this like last year at DietCon, is like, I agree that like corporate meddling is like kind of annoying. Revenge of the Sith is the most corporate meddled movie ever made. That was 20th Century Fox telling George Lucas, these last 2 films have been a fucking disaster for us. They've made money, but you're getting laughed out of everything. Jar Jar, you get to give Jar Jar 2 lines. That's it. Stop arguing with us on that. You need to make Anakin turn to Darth Vader because that's what people are expecting. And that's why Darth Vader turns to the dark side so fast. It's not because George Lucas doesn't know writing. It's because 20th Century Fox told him to wrap it the fuck up.
And it feels that way. Especially we would just watch it in the theater and it's jarring.
It is. And look,
Jarring.
I love Revenge of the Sith. It is like
Same.
very low on my ranking. But I love that movie, and there's a lot of corporate meddling in that. There, like, if you look at something like Empire Strikes Back, and especially Return of the Jedi, there's a lot of corporate meddling in those films, but we still love them, and it is annoying. And you're right, because Tony Gilroy has the least amount of corporate meddling, and he's allowed to do something like this.
Tell.
But there were constraints on season 1, and I know there are interviews where he said that, where like, the reason we're seeing what we're seeing in season 2, he wanted to do in season 1, but it's like, it's very much like, you, like I said, it's like you go to a job, you do anything in life, like you kind of have to prove yourself a little bit. And as much as I love the Acolyte, I don't believe that Leslie proved herself. And I think there are so many beautiful moments of that show, and there's so many like the fucking chuds that are like, it broke the lore. I'm like, it has the most
The
Star
hell are you
Wars
talking?
lore. It's like if you hate lore breaking, I better never see you talk about the Clone Wars. Like,
Yeah, no shit.
I want to disagree a little bit on that because like Tony was given a much bigger runway to start with. Like he got 12 episodes, each of them being like over 40 minutes or close to 50 minutes each, whereas Leslie got 8 Some of them weren't even half an hour, right? Like the 5, I think it was 5-6. Like they forced that to be cut in half. Like there was a lot of meddling in that. Like I'm not talking about the ending. Like that for sure was like, you know, Leslie's choice. But I'm talking about how like the story was how much time was given for the story, how much time was given.
There's edits where conversations have done.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Like that's the corporate meddling that I'm talking about. And the thing is, like, Leslie had proven herself outside of Star Wars. Tony had
Russian Doll is
outside of
outside
of Star Wars, and then they came into Star Wars. Like, I'm not saying that they were necessarily like at equal footing in terms of experience.
Right. And Tony had Rogue One stuff under his belt as well.
I guess you're right. Right. So he wasn't like new to Star Wars. So I totally understand that. I just wish this show, if they had like just given more time per episode to kind of flesh out some of this, it would have done a lot better. And the numbers for like the viewing numbers, viewership and whatnot, like did pretty well compared to the other Disney shows. And the other thing with corporate meddling that I meant wasn't just like in like the editing and the cutting, but was like trying to am I back?
You cut out for like a frame and a half. I was like, oh no. It was long enough to be concerning.
Okay. I'll say this quickly, but it's more about like them, instead of committing to a movie, they turn it into a show, and then you can tell like Obi-Wan Kenobi, even like so like you can tell that this was like it wasn't a movie, but it wasn't a series of movies, but it wasn't a show, and they're just sort of like trying to do this instead of like committing to one format, right? Because they're really just trying to push Disney Plus, which I get as you know, that's your business, and that's the corporate meddling that I'm talking about. Is like like that's what the mandates around these stories that constrain these stories, and I feel like Andor is able to break away from that. Like we're getting the episodic structure, we're getting the arcs within, we're getting like, you know what I mean? They had the full 2 seasons, 12 episodes, like long time to actually be able to do this stuff. And that's why I think for me, Andor stands out, and why I don't know if we're going to get something else of this caliber and quality, because they're not willing to invest from what we're seeing.
I think
something like this.
And here's how, because I think you're right on all of that, because, and it's like, I think the frustration for me isn't that, it is like the revisionist history that I think a lot of people, not like I think a lot of our friends don't really have this issue, but like when you go online and it's like prequels are the greatest thing ever, and I'm like, I love the prequels.
What are you talking about? I love the prequels, but let's be real.
I love the prequels, but
they are problematic. They are great and weird, and weird as hell.
Hayden stopped
and the thing that like I think frustrates me, like from like oh god, this is gonna sound really gatekeepy, but like as someone who grew up with like the original trilogy, like I was in like I saw the special editions in theaters, like that was my first like theater experience with Star Wars. Like to see, I'm just gonna say this, primarily white men born in the 2000s, white boys born in the 2000s. Like
have we summoned Tate?
That basically my issue with Tate here is is that like this whole like you're a Disney shill, Disney this, Disney that, and I'm just like, you know what we're not getting? We're not getting a Pepsi One promotion where you have to buy like 37 6-packs to get every single can with Padme and Jar Jar and Anakin. We're not getting Jar Jar tongue lollipops. We're not getting.
Oh my god, the Jar Jar tongue lollipops.
We're not getting like I have it like I don't. I this is not to judge like the Funko Pop and the action figures. Like I understand that. Like I have 3 Star Wars action figures that were like gifts from friends, and I'm like I have a Weequay Return of the Jedi Soldier, like Powers of the Force, like action figure. That is a toy from 1997 promoting a movie from 1983. Like,
that's wild.
Like that's where Star Wars was. Like the marketing push and the things like Yoda stories. And I always joke like, don't tell me that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is bad until you play the Obi-Wan Kenobi video game. Yeah. And like just like what we talked about with the expanded universe and the books there, like the comics, like I went out and nostalgia bought X-Wing Warrior Princess. Like I remember reading this, I'm like, oh my god, this is so fucking bad.
I was replaying the Bounty Hunters game.
It's not good. It's not
I
good.
hate the controls.
Like they tried to do, like in the 90s, they tried to do like the multimedia universe with Shadows of the Empire, and it was a failed comic, a failed book, and a successful video game. And it's like, to me, it is like when I hear Disney slop, and I'm like, again, there are certainly things that Disney has done that I'm not a huge fan of. That like it like to me, my issues with Ahsoka aren't like the whole Rebel season 5, all this. It's like to me, it's like Ahsoka just felt, you have such a giant galaxy to explore and you went to a fucking different one. Like can we explore where we're at? Like, I had issues with Ahsoka. Like it felt like a lot of like nostalgia stuff, and like not in the way that like Kenobi nailed nostalgia bait for me.
Yeah.
And it's like when I look at like I can look at Kenobi and be like, there's stupid stuff in here. I can look at The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, and like I kind of like Rise of, like the more I watched it, I like Rise of Skywalker more than The Force Awakens now. I can look at stuff in the Rise of Skywalker and like, this is fucking dumb. But like I can appreciate it, and I can always, like in the back of my mind, I can look back and I'm like, they used to give us Yoda stories. Like like and that's where I, in a post Andor season 2 world, like I can live with Maul Shadow Lord. Is it Shadow Lord?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Sponsored
can
by
live with
Raid Shadow Legends. No, I'm just kidding.
probably, yes, thank you. I can live with Maul Shadow Lord not hitting the same points as Andor. I can handle whatever comes next. Maybe it's Ahsoka season 2. Maybe it's unannounced live action television show that will be coming eventually.
Mandalorian and Grogu, I think, is like the next.
I think that's a great point. Is I can handle the Mandalorian and Grogu being a fun adventure flick that's not very.
Give me
deep.
Anzellans and I'm in. Sorry, that's my bar.
If it's not taking itself seriously,
You're getting it.
I get that.
They're giving us a Mando hallway scene inside of an AT-AT. I'm in.
Sure.
We can have these super intelligent conversations about how the Darth Vader scene in Rogue One doesn't actually fit the theme of it. I don't fucking care. It's awesome. Okay, jingle the fucking keys. All right. Like, I'm okay with that because like Star Wars has always been a little goofy since its inception. Like A New Hope.
Goofiness.
Because A New Hope was the first Star Wars movie I saw. I saw it when I was very young. I saw that in the theaters. I got to see the Death Star explode with the fire ring in theaters, and I was like, oh my god! And like, say
and now you can't have fire.
I am a despecialized truther. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I want those out so badly.
Give me your email. I'll Google Drive it to you. There are aspects. The small touches of special editions are very good. The George Lucas fuckery is annoying as shit. But like, at the end of the day, like, Return of the Jedi, yes, we can have nuance. We can have a nuanced conversation about Return of the Jedi. It is teddy bears taking out stormtroopers. Let's not kid ourselves.
It was amazing.
It was incredible.
I love it.
We can have a whole other conversation.
It's my favorite Star
Wars.
Dude, sorry, but this is my keys, okay? Teddy bears taking out stormtroopers.
I'm sorry. That's my jingle.
It's fine. Jingle the keys. There are these nuanced conversations you can have about showing the Viet Cong and their struggles as teddy bears doing slapstick comedy. There is a nuanced conversation to have about the problematic nature of that. At the same time,
right, you
will never convince me that the edit back and forth between the battle above Andor and the second Death Star isn't peak fucking cinema. You'll never convince me of that. Like yes, we can have I am a Jedi like my father before me. Tears streaming down my face. Oh, a fucking Ewok just tripped a stormtrooper with a branch. Like,
but then you get like one Ewok dying, and then the other one being sat over his friend, just going yup yup.
We can have. Star Wars is so vast. Star Wars is like, this is what I love about something like Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew has a message.
It was totally. I loved it. I thought it was really cute.
It is a precious Star Wars show.
Really
to me, I love Book of Boba Fett because it's Book of Boba Fett was Robert Rodriguez saying, hey, when I was 7 years old, I was playing with Boba Fett action figures, and Disney just handed me a blank check to bring that to life.
Now I made Spy Kids and Boba Fett in one.
But here's the deal. Here's what I'll say. Like, I don't want Andor to become like, oh, we will never have a good Star Wars again. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's going to be the case. We are right now living right now. I don't know what's going to be like in 10 years. You're right. We could have slapstick bullshit like and cute Ewoks and nuanced conversation why the whole thing is probably. I get that. Even like racial stereotypes in Phantom Menace, there's quite a bit of them. Let's be like real. Do you know what I mean? Like all these different things.
Yeah.
I think the shows like Visions, the Tales of the whatever, Clone Wars, Rebels, Young Jedi Adventures, Nub's Tales, all that stuff. I think all of that can be good and great, but like, I wish sometimes, and Ahsoka is a big gripe for me. For me, I thought it was done very. There's a lot in Ahsoka that was to me done very surface levelly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I actually really do agree with that. I don't dislike the
No,
show, but
no, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that. There's rarely a Star Wars besides I don't like The Rise of Skywalker, obviously. I have issues with Solo. Solo is a great film, but it has a fundamental problem that I cannot get past because I love Star Wars droids a lot. They're so probably my favorite aspect of the entire universe. Especially now watching KSO wake up, it was like I was
Yeah.
crying. I was bawling my eyes out when he woke up. So I have issues with Solo on that front. But like even if it's silly, be good. That's why Acolyte frustrates me to no end because there is so many good elements in there, just like Ahsoka. But the dialogue, the conversations, like the plot hanging by a thread is incredibly wonky and clunky.
sure.
And that part is what kills me. I that's why like the Young Jedi Adventures with Nubs and Kai and all the crew, like I love that shit.
It's so goofy and
I
silly.
When
it's silly, it's goofy. There's room for it. So
You
some-
haven't watched Resistance, have you?
only first season. I don't like the animation. It's jarring to me. The animation
Okay, that's
took me out.
totally.
I'm not talking about
fair.
the characters. I'm not talking about the story, but the animation, like the look of it, took me out.
Season 2 is like I get like where people and this is like where I agree with you on the Acolyte, what we talked about the Acolyte, like season 2 would have helped that. Season 2 Resistance helped that show tremendously.
Okay, that's good
Because
to know.
It's because the only grown-up thing about season 1 was the context of Hosnian Prime, which is a beautiful scene, and it's
Knowing what happens to
and it's a
it,
heartbreaking scene because like you don't it's like it gives the context that we never got with Alderaan.
Yeah. Oof.
And the way that I will always treasure the fact that I ran into Christopher Sean, the guy who voiced Kaz at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, and I told him like, dude, he was Asu in Village Bride and he was Kaz in Resistance, and I was like, you have no idea that like you have done my two most favorite things in Star Wars animation. Like Village Bride was my favorite thing about Visions, like probably my like second favorite, if I'm being 100% honest, like my second favorite thing, like next to Andor at this point. And like Resistance is my favorite animated series. And he's like, I love
I think nobody said.
And like I was doing all the interviews with people at Celebration, and I was like, I've been doing. He's like, I want to do an interview with you, and like I will always remember that. And there's obviously like that obviously gives me a huge bias, but like
Right.
me and Brandon Darchaku will have like been trying to preach the gospel of like, if you want a good redemption story, the story of Tam Rivora is the story you're looking for. Like they go through the justification and understanding of indoctrination into something like the First Order and the removal of that indoctrination. And it's done beautifully in season 2. So I do recommend doing it because again, it's like, it's these things that like
Right.
don't get a lot of attention because you're right. The animation, I will never begrudge anyone for saying the animation of Resistance isn't good because it's not. It's very, it's very Nick Jr. is like the best way I can put it. No, let me say this. Nick Jr. when they realized they could do 3D modeling, because like Blue's Clues is adorable.
Oh God,
and like stuff like that is great. But like
But then
when
use
Nick
3D
Jr.
models
and
for
like
the Explorer.
whatever that Disney Junior, Disney Kids, whatever that was, like when they all learned how to do 3D modeling, and it was just garbage. Resistance is like a step up from that.
Okay,
But no, like to kind of tie it back into Andor is like, from my perspective, we waited 45 years to get something this good. Like last thing that I genuinely feel the last thing that we got that was this good without any caveats Like Siege of Mandalore, I have lots of fucking caveats with. Like it's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It's oh god, it is like
Gorgeous.
there's so many elements of that, but there's so many elements of that show, that arc, that frustrates me because it's like you had a perfect ending to Ahsoka in season 5 and you fucking ruined it. But like Empire Strikes Back to me is the last time Star Wars was truly good without an asterisk.
Yeah.
And Andor is
my
first,
favorite film.
But I agree because like nothing will ever beat A New Hope for me. Like it has the twin suns. It has the dust. Yeah. One of my most popular TikTok videos was like me saying there's one scene in Star Wars that every Star Wars fan can agree on is a good scene without hesitation, and it's Luke looking out onto the twin suns.
The music, I cry every time. Every time.
I cried making it because I showed it. I was like, I hate this. But like, I believe that Empire Strikes Back was the last good thing with that didn't have an asterisk to it, because I do believe Rogue One has some stuff like with some of its pacing, and especially the Darth Vader scene where there's an asterisk there of like, okay, Andor is the first thing in 45 years where it was good without an asterisk. And maybe it will be another 45 years.
I hope not. I hope
I hope
not.
not.
I hope we learn from Andor.
We've
And
tasted
like,
the
okay,
greatness now.
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll be
like,
72.
I don't know if I want another show like Andor, but I want like the creative freedom and like
This ascendancy,
dedication,
please,
but like
Yeah,
commitment from the studio into something like something new, something novel, something that's different. Give me like a horror show. Like
I was just about to
Star
say,
Wars
Give me
horror would be
horror.
amazing.
give me Lost in Space, but Star Wars, and
Yes!
add the new like you're just like, I will say this, like, this is me, my dumb spaceship brain. I was like, you know what's fucking stupid about Andor? You know what's so fucking dumb about Andor is they mention these mining ships 100 goddamn times and they don't fucking show me the mining ships.
You're right.
Never.
Did we see them?
We didn't
Tony
see any
Gilroy,
of
fuck
that.
you. You gave us the TIE Avenger. And you
Listen.
didn't give me a cool mining ship. I fucking hate that.
The budget went to Mon Mothma's outfits.
I can forgive that.
It went to the Chandrilla wedding.
Sorry, Chase. That wins the Chandrilla wedding and the costumes.
You're not
win.
wrong. That
But
wedding dress was
But the thing
stunning.
is, like what we were talking about, like horror. Like give me a
KSO's murder spree.
Give me the
I got so mad when I heard about that.
Give me the class 4 mining ship, the fucking pyramid box hauler from Bad Batch.
Oh.
Like one of the coolest things we've seen in forever. Give me the Eravana, the ship that Han and Chewie were on. Give me that stranded without a hyperdrive. And what do? And give me the multi-dimensional characters that we got in Andor. Give me the adventure. Give me the loneliness. Give me these themes. And you can have it be fun. You can have it be cheeky. You can do this. But give me the care. Like, did you guys see the TikTok of the actor who played like the Imperial like guy? He was one of the Imperial officers on Mina Rao, and he's just like looking at like the bags of grains, and he did like, I don't think he said, I don't think you guys. He was like, the drawers were full of props. Like there were like Star Wars props, and so like you would open a drawer and there was just things in there. There were like writing things in there. It's like you would, it's like you doing lots of shows. It's like, you have to like put yourself in the moment, because there's like, it's a wooden set, and off screen there's like a giant fan blowing, and it's like you didn't have to get into character. You were there. Like you were on Mina Rao, and it's like, he's like, I did something I shouldn't do. I got in the TIE Avenger. It's a real fucking thing. They built it, and it's just one of those things. Like, give me that level.
But they'll transport it to Disneyland.
And like you said, like Sue, you put it
hope they
perfectly. I don't need genocide and the weight of that. And I would get tired. I would
don't
get tired.
want it, honestly.
It would be
want that all the time.
distasteful
I'm sorry.
to do that all the time. Dude, we've built how many fucking Death Stars at this point? Good God! Like,
No
Like
shit.
I love the Grogu Mandalorian. Like I love that. Like the fun side of it. Like, yes, the show has issues, but I don't care. They gave me Grogu and Anzellans and the fun
Grogu's
pew
great.
pew. Like
Grogu's
it's
great.
literally little like himbo cowboy in space. I don't care.
like, and I am not like, I'm not holding my breath for Mandalorian and Grogu to be this like masterpiece, impactful thing. I'm not expecting
it's a
that.
fun adventure.
I don't need it, but I do hope that every once in a while we do get a show, a movie, like who knows? Maybe it'll be Starfighter. We don't know. Where it is this thing of like, Johnny, I will fucking kill you.
That's more so me against Sean Levy more than anything.
Yeah.
But like also like it's funny because like people talk about Robert Rodriguez and Spy Kids. Like Robert Rodriguez has like a very good catalog of like
No,
films.
he's a great
Like,
filmmaker.
He's incredible, and like I love Book of Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett has its problems. I don't like Space Vespas. That's my opinion. But
the
like
Space Vespas, the Tuscan treatment, and the Mando commercial in mid-show.
there's things like there. I'm gonna say this. I know that this is just so long-winded, not even on Andor anymore. My sister put so much context to the Mando scene in Book of Boba Fett. She said that she is a movies person when it comes to Star Wars. Like she will go to the theater and watch Star Wars. We'll never watch the Clone Wars. We'll never watch Rebels. We'll like animation stuff. And she watched The Mandalorian, loved it. She watched Book of Boba Fett. And I was like, well, how did you feel about like Mando showing up? And she was like, oh, I would have been upset if he didn't. Because for a lot of people, Boba Fett's a non-character. Like he has less than 5 minutes of screen time in the original trilogy.
Literally, he is. He doesn't have lines,
and he is a child. And again, this is revisionist history with the prequels. He is a child in the prequels, and like let's not forget how pissed off people were that you made Boba Fett a kid, that like was a whiny
kid. Boba Fett a kid,
right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't pay
as adults, guys.
Yeah.
Like what do you not understand about that?
and like for my sister, the Mando, like Din, again, like this is also just like that's not Din, that's Mando, that's not Grogu, that's Baby Yoda. Like we're talking very surface level, like Star Wars, but it's not going to get super into it. And she's like, Mando was so much more compelling than Boba Fett to begin with. Like to have the show where you have Silver Boba Fett and Green Boba Fett, and you give me a show about Green Boba Fett, but you made me fall in love with Silver Boba Fett. Give me Silver Boba Fett. Like, and I got a lot of respect for those episodes, like having that conversation with her, because like even my dad, who's a bigger Star Wars fan than she is like, yeah, Boba Fett is like a bounty hunter. He's a Mandalorian. I know what that is. Where like she didn't even know that he's like she doesn't even know that there's nuance to like Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian. Like a Mandalorian is Silver Boba Fett to her. And I think that's a lot of fans that like are not on the internet. They are not reading books. They are not in comment sections with fucking AI butts, like it's just like, yeah, the bounty hunter guy with the T-shaped helmet. Like that's, and I think for a lot of fans, I think like the thing that we do have to understand is that is the majority of Star Wars fans, is that's how they view a lot of the stuff. Because like it's great what we do here. We can break apart scenes with Dedra and Syril to like the finest detail, and that's super fun. And I love that, and I love having like people like you to do that with. But at the same time, there's so many people that they're not buying the action figures or the T-shirts, or they're not getting the books. They watch it and they enjoy it, and that's just a majority of people.
You may enjoy this, Chase. Like I went to see Revenge of the Sith with my husband, who is not into Star Wars. He thinks they are incredibly corny and silly films, not his deal. So we are leaving the Revenge of the Sith. His question to me, he's like, "I'm a little annoyed that they don't really explain why the soldiers turn on the Jedi." So now I'm having a bit of a revisionist history moment in my own head. So I texted, I think in Johnny or Tate, I can't remember. I'm like, do they tell in Phantom and Attack if the chip is addressed? They don't. I've forgotten that.
No, the chip didn't exist before the end of Clone Wars. It wasn't that. It was this was something that was like genetically modified in the expanded universe. Like there was there was an issue with the Clone Wars when they brought in the inhibitor chips, because this wasn't a removable. This wasn't a fucking USB stick. This was like genetically modified in their brains in the expanded universe. There was no getting around it.
But that's also how they that like in the movie. Sorry, okay, I'll give some context. I've also I've been a lifelong Star Wars fan, but like exclusively the movies. I didn't even know like the animated shows existed up until a few years ago, and I had watched most up until I think Book of Boba Fett, like before even like participating in the online fandom. Tried a long time ago, was horrible, so I stopped. So like I'm probably closer to your sister, Chase, than like, I mean, now not anymore, but like that experience up until then was probably very close to like your sister. In one of the movies they do, I think it's in, not Phantom Menace, in
Attack?
Attack of the Clones. They do so my understanding was that like the genetic modification included some form of like mind altering thing that like made them really obedient, and then that's why they just followed orders. Like, but I had the question of like, wait, was this something they were briefed on, or is this like when they were given the command, it was some sort of like mind control? It's not.
That question
like,
blew my
clear.
mind as well. Like, if you're a cat, like I know what it is, I know what's going on, but he doesn't. So like, how do you contact? I'm like, they have a chip in their head.
The chip idea, mainly because it like takes agency away from like, well, because you could also like have parallels between like, you know, fascist soldiers and
it depends on what context you want to put the clones in. Like there have been so many interpretations. Like since Attack of the Clones, I mean honestly, like there were like there weren't a lot of like things about the Clone Wars pre-Attack of the Clones, but like once we got Attack of the Clones and you started getting like the Republic Commando like books and comics and games or game, like there were radically different interpretations of the clones. Like the clones were like some people were like they are a metaphor for like just brainless soldiers, like the cannon fodder, and you know they didn't have personalities like the Clone Wars gave them, right?
They made them people, like people.
Yeah.
Their names,
and like and there were stories that didn't give them that agency, like on purpose, like because it was supposed to be like, let's add nuance to the Republic. What's worse, sending metal into battle or sending flesh and blood into battle? And like there were different stories that addressed the clones in different ways. And again, this like not to just harp on like annoying fans, but like when people talk about like the expanded universe being destroyed, I'm like, the Clone Wars show takes away a lot of expanded universe material because like George doesn't care about it. And it's like the people who like say that like, oh, they got rid of the expanded universe, also the Clone Wars is the best thing ever. I'm like, those are contradicting statements, and you're not aware of this. You're not cognizant. Like your brain hasn't fully developed yet to understand that you just said a contradicting statement. Like you're just recycling YouTube bullshit. But like that's maybe to tie this all back into Andor, because we haven't even talked about Bix yet. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm so sorry.
I
This
have something I wanted to say about Dedra and Syril, but
I know.
or Mon Mothma.
We may have to do another one of these. We're getting into 3-hour mark, and I'm about to.
It's like,
we're at 2 hours and 30 minutes almost.
Crazy.
Yeah, how do we tie this back into Andor? Or I could just jump into Syril and
let's just jump. I was gonna say let's just jump right into the end of episode 3, or just let's just jump into the third episode for arc 3, I should say. And that speech. Let's just talk about Mothma's speech. That was the coup de grace.
Beautiful. It was perfection. It was.
I can't believe that it happened. I can't
believe they said genocide, and I can't believe she called out Palpatine's
twice.
crusty,
the G word twice.
I wish I had the whole speech here, but this is the end part.
Oh, yes, this one, the monster will come for us. Oh, and then she just names him Emperor Palpatine, and it just. Also, can we like props to those two who like followed the rules? Like that was malicious compliance to just perfection.
We fixed the door.
We fixed the door. Where is it? Where's the key? Oh, it's upstairs.
But it wasn't fixed yesterday. I know, and that's why we did it.
Oh wow.
I love it.
The thing with Mon, and this is what I do love about Star Wars, and why it's like it has persistently through my entire life been like my favorite thing, is because of the world building, and like we see this, like it doesn't matter what era we're talking about, like it's all there. Is if you would have asked me in like the 2000s, like how would you feel about a show that really dived deep on Mon Mothma, the woman in the rebellion from Return of the Jedi, that was very soft spoken, and I'd be like, what?
Ooh.
No. Like I mean, I know, like yeah, Mon Mothma. I know. Yeah, I always thought her name was. I always thought her name was Mama Mothma. Like,
me too, for years.
I was like, yeah, Mom Mothma. And then for her from season 1 up until now, like to be
A real
the most
character.
like one of the most impactful things about Andor, and
Well,
like one of the
Padme
most,
should have been in the prequels. Sorry.
Yeah.
She actually kind of took over that role because she's doing all the speeches now. She's the focal point, and it very much reminded me of Padme. It's kind of like she's honoring her memory. Same thing with Bale. But like just to have Mon be this minute and a half character in Return of the Jedi, turning into one of the, like Chase said, one of the most important characters in Star Wars is blowing my mind.
yeah,
It's great.
it's crazy to think, and it's just one of those things of there's so much breadth to her character because she is a person of privilege. She has every opportunity to just live in gracious compliance with the Emperor and just
In
live
wealth and luxury.
She could be Karen.
yeah, and there's I won't spoil. I definitely won't spoil it. There is a part in Mask of Fear where she has like a very good monologue, like in Mask of Fear, that like is very impactful, that like touches on that in a completely different way. But like just the idea of having every opportunity to abuse the power you have and choosing to not do that, like to take full advantage of your privilege and not doing it. Because like there's definitely been like conversations about people like Bernie Sanders, you talk all this talk, but like there are questionable things about your lifestyle that like have been brought up about him, and it's like they're very fair, and like some of them, like he has good justifications for some, and in my opinion not so good justifications for others. And we have a character like Mon Mothma, which the sad reality is we don't have anyone like Mon Mothma in American politics at this moment.
But also, we are in a hindsight of Mon Mothma too, because
Right.
we're in the sequel era as well.
Yeah. And yeah, because I mean the First Order is the era of like neo-fascism.
But violence, wars is cyclical. This is not something that just said, "Oh, we won World War One." What happened?
and there's something that I do love about like her escaping and her reactions to like Cassian gunning down people. And and there's like again, there's like a tragic poetry. It's beautiful. There's a tragic poetry
I love that.
to her, like, and this is very like book heavy material of like Mon Mothma's eradication of New Republic military, and how that helped give birth to the reality of the First Order. And it was because she believed so strongly in peace and was so conflicted on fighting for peace. And it's not because she is such a pure-hearted person. And like and her view of sacrifice is not a blaster bolt that you need a force healer. Her view of sacrifice is not death and destruction. Her sacrifice is her daughter. Her sacrifice is her life. Like, I won't get into Mask of Fear. There are other sacrifices she makes. And
she's also a politician, not a wartime general. So that plays a lot into the demilitarization of the New Republic, which in an ideal world, we don't have military and police.
She is an idealist, and she is an idealist with her heart in the right place. Yes. And she's also willing to take in what she views as appropriate action. And her battlefield has always been the Senate Rotunda. That is her war room. And the way they handle her, and the way that like, and there's this one moment when Cassian is recklessly driving away.
Like in the back.
Yeah, where she is and it's like she is like there's, to me, I viewed this as like again, visual storytelling is she's not only bracing herself under Cassian's very dangerous driving. How could he? How dare he treat my queen that way? She's bracing for herself for what's to come on Yavin, what's to come, everything. And the
she's not, she doesn't feel like she's ready, but she has to be.
It ties right into Rebels.
I watched that episode right after this arc. It works very well.
And
I should do
when she gets to the apartment, like Cassian and Bix's old apartment, and it's like there's also like there's just these signs of not only intelligence but empathy that she has. Like when Cassian's getting it, the drink of water, and she's like, "You know this place, don't you?" And it's like she's very observant and she's very caring in how she says things. But the thing that like crushed me was it's like a cliche word, but like in the context of everything, when she says, "I don't know where to begin to thank you." Like she is lost. Like she's like my life has been ripped apart. Like I'm never gonna see my daughter again. I'm never gonna see my husband again. I'm never gonna see like the friends she had in the Senate. Bale may be dead. She doesn't know. He has connections to her. She doesn't know anything. She is alone, and she is going to try to figure out this rebellion thing she's lost. And she watched this man gun down people on behalf of her. And she's like,
Her assistant who worked for Luthen, we don't know if he's alive right now.
yeah, that she cast away, and she knows she shouldn't have. Like in hindsight, obviously she knows she shouldn't have. And like the way she said, and God, Genevieve O'Reilly, just what a gem.
If you had told me a few years ago that one of my favorite characters in Star Wars would become Mon Mothma, I would have
crazy talk.
Same.
Crazy
Yeah.
talk.
Crazy. At least
absolutely.
Cassian was actually watching where he was driving that time.
Yeah. See, and the thing.
That's
Go
hilarious.
ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that the thing about like that whole sequence with Mon Mothma just shows just how little she actually understands of what is actually what's happening with the rebellion, because she thinks like that escape, like yes, she's thanking him for a lot of things, but she also like thinks this is one of the hardest things he's done, and it's nowhere close
No.
to like the hard stuff he's actually had to do.
He literally just saw the Ghorman massacre.
No,
literally.
literally.
And she and oh no, she does know that, because I think he
Tells her.
Yeah, no, he does tell her.
He says I was
But
Like, yeah,
she
I was
also
there.
doesn't have a concept of what that actually is like. She sees it from the outside. She sees all of these horrors from the outside, but she doesn't actually she hasn't, again, her privilege. She hasn't lived any of it. And without someone like Luthen, she wouldn't have been able to push the rebellion forward as far as it went. She wouldn't have been able to get as far as she did. And that's part of the privilege, is there are people like Luthen, there are people like Saw, there are people who are like doing the hard work that she doesn't have to like think about or do or get her hands dirty in, until obviously she gets into to Yavin and is kind of participating in that more. But her hands remain clean because other people are getting them dirty. And she's like aware of that, but she doesn't also like know the details. And like she's still like so appalled by take Holma and Luthen taking him out. And it's like that's like the least of everything that he's done. Like he didn't even think twice about this. Like take Holman is like nobody to him, But it also shows sorry.
No, go ahead. I
was gonna say it also shows like how much she cares. Like she doesn't want to, violent. Like she doesn't. Obviously, she cares about Tay, but just in general, she doesn't want violence to be the means for their salvation. Even though she kind of knows it's necessary, but she's trying her hardest to do the right thing in order to get to where they need to. And it's like different ideologies and how those sometimes clash, and then
Sure.
But she's such an interesting character, and I can't wait for the next arc, and actually hopefully getting to see her like kind of get her hands a little bit dirty.
She's gonna have a haircut or something.
Please read Mask of Fear. Please read Mask of Fear. I need you guys to read Mask of Fear. Mask of Fear is a great book, and it adds so much context to Mon Mothma as a person, and like as like a very brave individual in her own way. And yeah, like there's just so many moments when like we could talk about that speech and just how impactful it was, and like
straightforward. There's no hand holding. It's on the nose, and it's
very while they accomplish different things, it very much reminds me of like Nemec's Manifesto, and how she delivered it, and like the context of everything going on. And to me, it was almost like, while Nemec's Manifesto is going to be like the crux of the rebellion, it's the blueprint of the rebellion. If you haven't read 100 Objects in Star Wars, his manifesto is one of them. And it has the passage about his manifesto is very good. But no, it is one of those things, like, you have like this dissent within the Senate as she's giving this speech, but like it's almost like they muted some of that dissent, because obviously some people believe in Mon and they don't believe in the Emperor, and there are systems out there that like don't agree with the Empire, and especially like with some of the separatist systems that have been integrated back into the Empire, that they're feeling this is too much like the Republic, and that there's no separatist representation. It's all Palpatine. Palpatine was the chancellor in the Republic. That's not who represents me. And you have all of these things culminating. And I think that her speech is going to impact a lot of people. And I think we see this as like the rebellion grows and grows and grows, which we're already seeing, you know, with Luthen being totally in control of like 10 people. And now you have like, I think it's Ragnar or Ragnell, the rebel like commander that's like yelling at Cassian.
Oh,
Draven.
yeah.
Draven. I don't know
yeah.
where I got Ragnar. I'm sorry. But like him saying like, you know, when Cassian's like, if I can't leave, you know, come and go as I please, like I'm out. And he's like, that's all about to change. Like this is becoming so serious.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things like that Mon Mothma, I think, is going to be a huge part of bringing more people to that serious level where there is an army fighting the Empire in Return of the Jedi. And yeah, her character is just, it is the one aspect of the show I would say is perfect. Like I have no complaints about Mon Mothma and her characterization and the events that happen with her.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, we have 3 episodes to go.
With those last 3 episodes, I am actually curious because, like, even when watching Rebels, I remember her having that speech. I was always wondering, like, I wonder if that ever got to Saw Gerrera.
Oh,
I hope we see that in these last 3 episodes.
I'm sure he's gonna hear something. Like there's no way there was a set. Yeah, and there's no way there was like that Senate speech and then the other one that she makes on the ghost ship, and like there's 2. Like there's no way neither of those make it to Saw.
A piece of the Rebel speech in live action of her on like a hologram with Saw or somebody watching would be kind of a nice touch.
Yeah.
yes.
No, legit. If we just got like a snippet of it, that'd be so dope.
That's actually somebody made a good point as well, about how it would have been nice to see like snippets of other people kind of like reacting to her speech, like more than what we saw. Like Perrin, for example, like watching it, just to kind of get like a last little glimpse of Perrin maybe or something. But it would have been interesting to see other characters, other places. Like if we had seen like a little glimpse of like Bina Rao or something, you know, people there watching that hall, like that would have been kind of really cool. I understand that there was a very clear focus on
going back to Ferrix itself would have been really cool.
Ferrix would have been really awesome
would have
as
been really
well.
cool.
Yeah,
The woman from the first episode that helped steal that tie, that would have been a cool person to see.
Oh, that would have been
right.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even
Again,
like one of
we
the
still have 3 more episodes, maybe
Narkina
we will see that.
prisoners.
Yeah.
Like
They may
to
do
kinda
like
tie-
they may do like an opening of the next episode with flashbacks too.
Yeah.
Like,
And then we gotta see like a
could be-
live action version of the Mothma speech for the Rebels after too.
I hope they keep that to Rebels. I hope they let
Yeah.
Rebels have that. There's
I
like
agree.
there are things that like I don't want to sound negative. Like there are things about Andor, like season 2, that I would have like I could just say I would prefer to have seen differently. But the way everything has been handled has been really good. I think there are certain aspects of it's like almost a negative and a positive. Like there are things that aren't getting closure and probably will never get closure based on the structure. Like everything is 1 year later. Like I on like previous episodes of this and like with Pod Ones, I've joked of like, we don't get the morning after with Marin and Mon or Perrin and Mon, where it's like, so someone let themselves go last night. We're not getting that. And like there, it's almost like a good and a bad thing, because like it's good because we get to fill in those gaps ourselves in a way, and it lets like some of these more insignificant things like be up to our own imagination. I think like the Tay Colma thing was handled really well.
it was perfection.
Like
we didn't need more than that, honestly.
we don't need to know how he died. We can
Subtext.
we
Cinta's
can
there.
assume. And Cinta doesn't fuck around. Like,
No, she does what's necessary.
Yeah.
Will we ever see Bix again?
No,
I hope not.
I hope not.
That was perfect send off the character.
Well, actually, wait, very quickly, before we get to the Bix leaving part, I do want to bring up one more thing since Sue wasn't around for it. Wilmon being alive. How relieved were you when you saw him in
Listen,
the bed?
I didn't want. I immediately started bawling.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I immediately started bawling. I posted a photo of myself on Twitter, like just bawling because I wasn't expecting that. Like I was like, so in hindsight, I should have expected it because somebody had posted a photo on Twitter of like a leg wound, and like that didn't even like cross my mind that we hadn't seen it. But I was like, oh, okay. So we saw like when I started episode 9, we see like the day or like the morning after the Ghorman massacre, and then they're doing like the propaganda and whatever. I'm like, oh, so either they didn't survive the night or they rounded them up and now they're like in an Imperial prison or something, right? Like, because they were still in the middle of like the massacre. So I was like, we're either never gonna know, at which point I'm like, maybe I could still hope that he's alive, or that they're gonna like have some sort of confirmation that he's dead. And then we see him with Kat, and I just tears.
Yeah.
He's
Immediately.
alive. He's alive.
Oh my god, I was so happy. Which means that he's probably gonna die the next arc.
That's what I said earlier before you showed up. I'm like, cool. We know he's back. He's gonna die.
I'm holding out
gonna
hope. I'm holding out hope that they do something like Bix, where he's like off somewhere else, and so we just never get to see or hear
From him again,
or of
yeah.
him again. And I will be happy with the knowledge that we don't know.
I like that.
And, like,
I'm gonna say this. This is my wishful thinking. I would love a show about Bix in the rebellion. Like I would almost like if we were to ever get any type of like FACPOV type thing, like I would love to see, Bix, what maybe she was at the Battle of Hoth, maybe she was in these events that we know and love in Star Wars, and we see this through Bix's perspective. And like I would like to see that, because I think we haven't really touched on her monologue and her farewell to Cassian, which was heartbreakingly beautiful.
Oh my god.
But she said she I think the most important thing she says is I'm choosing the rebellion. And because I know she believes strongly in the rebellion, and we see that while Bix is a character that has struggled throughout this, she's never lost her strength. And like one of my favorite things was at the end of episode, I think it's 6, the end of last arc, was when, she gets her revenge on Gorst, and when her and Cassian are doing the very beautiful generic walk away from the explosion and don't turn back and
Perfection.
don't react, and she's smiling.
This is right before
Finally.
Yeah, she is smiling. And I think this shows that like, while Bix was struggling with a lot of things in the rebellion, after that, and like she was still helping in her own ways, and she's a mechanic, she's not like a combatant, but that doesn't mean she's not willing to give up, not willing to just go without a fight, and we obviously see this with Gorst. I would love to see a continuation of her story in some way, shape, or form, where it's like, what is Bix up to? Because her walking away to go elsewhere in the rebellion, it makes the tragedy of Cassian and Andor so much harder to deal with.
Yeah.
She
And
basically pulled a Cinta with Vel, putting the rebellion first.
It's the knife wound I want to feel of. Yeah. I want to know Bix's reaction when she learns about Cassian and the Death Star. Like I want to know how that affected her. I want to know how that dug her further into the rebellion. Yeah.
In terms of that, I don't want to see Bix again, because the last line she says is a perfect parallel to what she says at the end of season 1. Cassian will find us, and she says, "I'll find you."
Find you.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a perfect end to it. The most I want to see of her is she's off on Tython or some other planet that's slightly forth related.
After them.
Yeah.
I hope she goes back to Minara after the Empire falls for
Get the damn
and
droid.
goes
He's
back
all
Yeah,
to
the
alone.
droid.
Go back
Sure,
for
but
emo.
Someone's got to get
Yeah.
B2.
Me too.
Someone's
Yeah.
got to get B2.
The
Yeah.
one character from Andor that I hope survives all of it is Clea. Like, I want Clea to live through everything. I don't think it's gonna happen, but
that would
I
be
hope
interesting.
Leia lives.
I'm
Okay.
gonna raise
too.
you. I want B2 to live. I want B2 to
Yes.
come back.
I will take
think
he
the
has
a
B2
chance.
if Clea gets to live, honestly.
oh, Clea and
I
B2
love
together.
B2,
Yeah.
but Clea's just got my heart right now. I do
Clea
have
is-
a quick
I
hot
love
take,
Clea.
though. I don't like that, because like that Bix ending I think was so perfect. It was so beautiful. I was crying. Do you know how hard it is to make me cry from something? It's happened twice in the last 24 hours of like this last few days. I won't
24
lie.
hours or your whole life?
This last 24 hours. I rewatched Lilo and Stitch recently.
Oh, real.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Right?
I've
That-
never.
that'll do it.
Don't hate me. I've never seen Lilo and Stitch.
You are missing out, Chase. I'm just saying.
It'll make you want to cluck out of life. Yeet yourself into the sun.
Yeah.
It's
but
it's a rough watch.
But the Bix ending is so perfect. It's so beautiful. It made me well up in tears and feel emotions. I wish they didn't cut to the K2 stuff. I wanted to bask in that pain, that loneliness, that sense of abandonment that Cassian was feeling, and then just to have cut it there for us as viewers and having to wait another week just for the last 3 episodes, I think it would have been perfect.
But that meet cute though, we needed it, and it wouldn't have been able, like you wouldn't have been able to have it in the next arc because it's a year later.
I would have been fine with that.
I liked it.
Here's my thing, and David, I think you were going to say something, so don't let me.
No, I was just going to say really quick, not to twist the knife, but if she gets slight training in the Force, she will feel when Cassian dies.
Don't take it back. Delete.
Anyways,
delete this.
I like the pain.
Awful,
dude.
Awful.
Congratulations.
like twisting the knife in this show. Somebody, Danielle made the parallel. You know when Cassian, right after he like watches Bix's like video recording, and then he's standing in the doorway, and it looks exactly how he looks, like same framing as when he was a kid leaving. Not Ferrix. Oh my gosh.
Canary.
Yeah. And she's like, this is like parallels of like him leaving home, like, and he doesn't realize that like his life is like about to change, and like
just in this case, home left.
I forget the wording that Danielle had, but it was like devastating, and I was like, Danielle, I just stopped crying. Like,
there's so much of that in this show, and like David and I had talked about it on like a couple episodes. Like on the first arc is like the framing shots. We talked about it with like the Vel and Cinta with the window, but like stuff like that. But there's also like the framing of like Syril and Edie at the little dinner table with the rounded raised platform, and then when you go into like Dedra and Cyril's apartment, and there's that same rounded framing in the walls, but he's allowed to walk through it, and it's open,
bigger and bright,
and it's him like. And this is adding context and humanity while still not condoning, who he and Dedra are. But it's like, this is a character who has been confined by his mother and is now in a spot where he is freed. He feels free and open to walk where he's going. And there's so much of that in that show. Like the stuff with Kenari, you're right. Like I never even thought of that.
And somebody speaking of Syril, somebody clocked the fact that she names the spider gift after Syril because he's always going to be with her. And in the shot where she's watching like what's happening in Ghorman, you can see the spider shadow.
Oh, what a perfectly disgusting creature for a disgusting man.
I was that really took me out though.
Johnny, I want to go back to what you were saying about the K2 thing, because I actually have a different reaction. I'm so glad that happened, because there is, to me, and one of my friends who does not really like The Last of Us, like even like the first part, is it's like there is a what he calls misery porn, and it's like there is a level of like, if after everything that had happened in the past 3 episodes and you end with the farewell of Bix with no breath of fresh air, I think you would have gotten to the point where it would be like that misery porn type of content where it's just like,
I won't lie, I am a masochist in that sense.
We know, Johnny.
yeah.
I was gonna say,
oh,
I
yeah.
think that also goes to Tony's point about like mixing these episodes as like three episode arcs, as opposed to having like the episodes on their own. Had it been weekly, yes, and on Bix, because that's like, you know, the heavy weight. But given like that these 3 episodes, like that was the arc, the full arc was released all together. You're right. We needed some sort of like reprieve from all of the stuff that we've just experienced and witnessed in the last 3 episodes.
I will quickly say it's Star Wars. It ending on a hopeful note is perfectly in line with Star Wars.
Exactly.
And that makes sense. That works.
And I think like
And a sassy droid is in line too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Go ahead, David.
Showing K2SO at the end also frees up that the next arc he can just be there.
Yes.
He can just be there talking to Cassian like they've been doing it for a while.
That is very, very true. Good point.
Yeah. There's so much about Bix and Cassian that I've loved in this season. Like even just down to where they're living, like their living like their habitations, and like how that is a reflection of their journey. Like just the homey feeling of like their little hut on Yavin, and how it's the first time that like Bix really does seem like she's comfortable where she is, because like, I mean, honestly, I would live there. That's fucking gorgeous. Just waking up to the
things.
Yes. They're far away from that. It's okay.
I'm sure if you leave them alone, they're not going to come kill you.
And you know,
Yavin is very dangerous.
Yeah, if you played Star Wars Galaxies, it's a very dangerous place. No, like there's again, like I think one of the strengths of its many strengths in Andor is its visual storytelling. Is it's able, like there Harith sent me a website called Cap That, and it is like 4K screenshots of like everything you could possibly imagine, and going through like the Andor episodes, and it's like just like scrolling through them. Like you don't even need dialogue for half of this stuff. Like the dialogue is so good, but if this were like a silent show, you would know exactly what's going on every step of the way.
The hand touching alone between Bix and Cassian speaks
very passionate.
volume.
Exactly.
It is so how tender and soft they are with one another. And
the
like
little like hand ritual
I yearn
that they
for
did.
that.
Because there's something about what I love about Cassian's physical interactions with like the people that are close to him, because the way he's so soft and gentle with Bix, and like there is a care and understanding and respect of her. And then you go like back to Brasso and like how he hugs and like shakes the hand of Brasso, and then on top of that, I said it last night talking with like a crazy stupid podcast, was no one has ever hugged anyone the way that Will and Cassian hugged each other in Star Wars.
I thought it was farewell. That's why I thought it was the end of Wilmon, because I'm like, that's a farewell hug.
There are people that are talking about like, oh, I have friends everywhere, and Arabesh has a tattoo. I'm like, that's good. I'm getting Stone and Sky done. Like
yes.
In
Lyric, Stone and Sky.
In Arabesh, I think Stone Sky, like somewhere like parallel, like just the like the, and this is like a thing that is just so refreshing to see, like the tender love and care between two men. That is not, again, it's not a trope like, ooh, like we love the Finn pose, right? It's fun, it's great. This is two men who are so comfortable with each other and love each other, and will die for each other, and will also die for other people, and understand, and they have an understanding that like we have to follow our own paths, and I will never disrespect you for following your own path, and I will embrace you and call back to our home that we love. Cassian and Will's relationship in this is mesmerizing, and like when you hear like just the slapping of the jackets and how close they are and how tight they're holding each other, and they say Ferric, Stone and Sky.
I love that. I keep saying he's both like a father figure and an older brother figure to
Even-
Wilmon. And I mean, Bix is also like older sister, older like mom sort of a level there. Like they're both his parents and his like older siblings, which I love. But even just like the sorry, David, you were gonna say something.
No, I was gonna like even with this guy is what I was gonna say.
Oh my god.
And yeah, that was gonna be my point. It's just like the healthy masculinity shown
Yes.
in this show in opposition to Syril.
Yes, the
and
healthy.
in opposition
No,
to
absolutely.
like the masculinity that you see in like the Empire and the ISB and like all of that, like the healthy masculinity that is shown on the side of the rebels, on the good side,
Mhm.
is just so beautiful. Like we see it with Brasso, we see it with Cassian, we see it with Wilmon. Even like Wilmon, I noticed this on Mina Rao. He sleeps outside knowing that Bix is having nightmares inside, and also kind of to give them a bit of privacy, but also like as a way to guard them, even though there's no like imminent threat, but he's out there guarding them, just like he was keeping an eye out when they were on Ferrix previously. Like he's like protecting, and he, as soon as he hears like Bix, you know, having that nightmare, he runs in to see how she's doing and gives her the space and everything. And same with like Brasso waking her up and everything. Like just the display of healthy masculinity in this show has just been so beautiful to see. And like you see it on so many different levels, and you see it with the different relationships.
Yeah.
I do want to quickly say we're approaching 3 hours.
Yeah.
I was looking at
It's
that.
1 a.m. I need to go to sleep, but I'm enjoying this so much.
The last thing I want to say is, because you brought up the bellhop on Ghorman, is he keeps that thing on him. He's got a hand grenade behind the desk.
Well, he was part of the rebel group. He
He was ready to
Yeah.
go.
his little interaction.
Every
Luton
good office
plant.
should have a grenade at the ready.
The interaction where it's like, he knows, I know, you know, I know, we know, you
Yes.
know.
That was
Yeah.
a great interaction.
So good.
It was great.
And the fact
It was
he's just, when he just pulls out an explosive from the fucking hotel desk, I'm like,
Like,
Get away
I
from the
love-
windows! I thought he was
Like it.
carrying. Like,
But
no,
I
he wanted to
He
love you,
broke
man.
the blockade
The
of the
entire
massacre.
blockade.
Like he gave people a chance to actually escape the plaza.
And he could have. I
Plaza,
think
plaza,
he may have actually
plaza.
died in that blast. Like,
Yeah.
did you
I don't
see
want
that?
to know
He
if
died for
they-
sure.
Right? Okay.
I don't want to know if he's dead. I don't want to
I'm
know
glad
if
we
he
didn't
lived. I don't
see,
want to
but
know if
it-
he's scarred.
We don't need to know. And again, this is what I do
We don't
like
need to
about
know.
this. I like this structure of we don't need to know everything, and that's okay. And like letting characters have like free agency to live in our heads and give us like room to think about things is so good. But yes, it's been
yeah.
3 hours. I'm sorry I went tangential on some dumb bullshit.
know,
but,
no.
I do
no,
want to
no.
quickly throw this one last topic out there because JJ did mention it to me before we did the show, and it's that you wanted to touch up on Bix's assault. Is there anything else we wanted to say about that?
I'm
End note?
I'm a little tired so I don't want to like lend less importance to that because of my tone and all of that. It's the
We can
first
always
time the
come back
word.
for like the third week or
Yeah,
for the
let's save
fourth
it for
arc.
that when I am a little bit
Okay.
more clear-headed. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I guess let's everyone say goodbye. Sue, you never plugged yourself, so please make sure
Oh.
people know who you are.
Sue's theory is on all
Everything.
social media.
If you can't tell, we're tired.
Yeah, sorry.
Especially Sue. It's 1 a.m. for you.
It is 1 a.m.
Yeah, what is it?
And I didn't sleep
Yeah.
well last night. I was actually going to be like, maybe I'll only like pop in for like an hour, and
I
you know, I
remember.
think this
Not with this
conversation,
group.
like, gave me-
Andor is that good. Everybody
It's not
watching
just Andor, it's
Andor.
this group of people.
It
Aw.
is.
Yes.
It
And
is.
with that, I guess follow all these wonderful people on all socials. My name is David. I am Xanatos1138. There's going to be a Doctor Who podcast tomorrow. Look on it's fanbox.com for all the stuff we do. And that's it. Have a great night.